Ray adjusts his grip on the weapon, holding it with more control. His swing cuts through the air with force. Adrian leans back, trying to dodge, and the force that left the blade ends up crashing into the ceiling instead. A loud roar echoes through the cave, followed by dust and small pieces of rock falling from above. The sound shakes the space for a moment. A thin red line appears across the forehead of Adrian. Blood trickles down slowly from the fresh cut, but he doesn't look afraid. Instead, he smiles wide, almost impressed. He says Ray nearly had him. Ray doesn't speak. His eyes stay focused, and his mind starts to process what just happened. Adrian moved just in time. That kind of reaction doesn't come from someone without experience. This man has clearly fought people before. Ray wonders aloud if Adrian really tried to strike from behind while he was fighting wolves. That kind of move feels low and dirty. But Adrian doesn't look ashamed. He tightens his fists and says that things are more exciting this way. Ray points out that he already knows what this is. Adrian and his friends aren't just exploring. They stay in this place and wait. They watch for strong players to enter. Players who come here looking for loot, already tired from fighting monsters. Then, when their guard is down, they make their move. Suddenly, a voice calls from above. It is Da Dun Kuki. He steps out with Ion, both standing near the edge of a high ledge, looking down at Ray. With a grin on his face, Kuki says Ray is quick to catch on. They were watching the whole time. Ray lifts his gaze toward them. His tone turns colder. This place isn't a wolf's den. It's a trap, a hideout full of hyenas waiting to jump. He says it's strange that only he thought to come here. But if Koki wants to hunt like this, he needs a much stronger team. Ray stays sharp, going over what he had already noticed. From the start, the clues were clear. Adrian, the bigger one, carries knuckle guards. That piece of equipment is not ordinary. It delivers a sudden, reckless burst of power, something meant to catch people off guard. Ray had seen it before. He knows that kind of attack isn't meant for fair fights. Then there is a Yun, the shorter one. His sword is not just sharp, it works by using high-speed vibrations. That power gives it intense cutting strength, but only for a few seconds. If Ray hadn't been aware of how that blade functions, even one blow could have ended everything for him. Knowledge of these weapons had already saved him once. Now Ray shifts his thoughts to Cookie. The leader wears a ring, something that feels far more dangerous than it looks. Ray can tell that this ring is not just for show. It carries trouble with it, the kind of trouble that hides until the last second. Cookie speaks again. His tone changes into something smooth and friendly. He steps forward and stretches out a hand. A second later, gold coins appear from thin air, summoned by the power of his ring. They rain down with a metallic sound and land near Ray's feet. Ray remains calm on the surface, but inside, the shock is real. The value of what was dropped is not small. Cookie just threw away 10,000 yen like it means nothing. To Ray, wasting money like that feels almost like a sin. Cookie flashes another grin and says something that sounds generous. He claims the payment was too much and asks Ray to return the extra by picking it up. Ray stares at the coins. He sees the trick clearly. This is no act of kindness. That strange ring of Cookie has created these coins, but there is more to them. If Cookie wanted, these coins could explode on command. This is not a gift. It is bait. Ray decides to accept the challenge. He throws his dagger upward, lets it spin, and catches it again with ease. He then makes it clear that if they plan to return the money they took from him, he will allow them to walk away without harm. Koki and Ion step down from the ledge and come closer. They remind Ray that he is outnumbered. 3 fighters against 1. They speak like they still hold the upper hand. Ray shows no concern. The number of opponents means nothing to him. Even 100 would not make a difference now. A bright light fills his eyes, and a grin spreads across his face. He feels ready, and nothing about their weapons or money impresses him. Cookie hears this and cannot take it. His pride takes the hit and anger rises fast. He lifts his hand, and the ring on his finger begins to glow. The coins on the ground react at once. A wave of heat bursts out. Flames spread through the cave and fill the space with fire and smoke. Once the fire settles and the dust begins to clear, Cookie speaks again. The plan to blow Ray apart seems no longer enough. He calls to his companions, telling them to finish it now, without holding back. Adrian moves first. He gives a quick reply and launches toward Ray from behind. His heavy punch crashes down, but Ray steps away in time. The ground shakes from the blow, and sharp stone fragments scatter in every direction. Ion rushes in from the side with his sword raised. He swings fast, and Ray turns just in time to block the strike. A short moment passes, and Adrian attacks again from the back. The two move together, hoping to trap him. Ray stays one step ahead. He swings his dagger in a fast circle, using the momentum to force both attackers back. The impact throws them to the ground. His face shows no sign of mercy. He reminds them about the deal. He paid them 50,000 to stay away for just 1 hour. That promise is now broken. Now they owe more than what was paid. Interest must be added, and he is here to collect it. Cookie keeps his grin and says he remembers the deal. He agrees to pay interest, but the payment comes in the form of exploding coins. With a snap of his fingers, the magic inside the ring activates. A coin explodes near him, and he tosses more coins toward Ray with a wide smile, enjoying the chaos. Small blasts start to go off around Ray, He quickly moves, stepping and jumping to avoid the fire and sharp fragments. At that moment, Ion leaps into the air and tries to strike from above. The attack comes down fast, but Ray meets it in time. He turns his dagger just right and blocks it. The clash is strong enough to break Ion's sword. Ion looks at the broken blade, completely stunned. Ray does not pause. He swings his dagger again without giving Ion a chance to recover. But Ion steps back fast and dodges the next strike. Cookie begins to feel uneasy, his thoughts race. The sword of Ion just broke. Could that dagger be something rare? Maybe even an epic weapon? The idea leaves him tense. Ray moves forward once more and continues his attacks. Cookie watches closely. He reminds himself that their levels are much higher than that of Ray, and that gap should mean victory is certain. Trying to end things quickly, Cookie throws dozens of coins toward Ray. Right after, he triggers another wave of explosions. Fire and noise fill the space again. Ray clenches his teeth and rushes through the danger. His timing saves him, and the fire doesn't reach him. He spins around in frustration and yells toward them. The waste of money shocks him more than the danger. How can someone throw away so much like it never ends? Adrian comes back into the fight with excitement in his eyes. He moves silently behind Ray, smiling wide. He tightens his fist, and then the rocket punch skill activates. The blast sends out a strong roar, followed by a small shockwave that knocks Ion off balance and pushes him to the side. From inside the cloud of dust, Ray's dagger flies out and hits the ground nearby. Adrian looks pleased. He believes the hit was perfect. In his mind, Ray cannot survive something that powerful. Ion shows his frustration. He is disappointed and angry. The attack from Adrian could have easily hit him too. He then looks down at his broken sword, lifts it carefully, and touches the edge. The damage is clear. He starts worrying about the cost. Repairing that blade is going to be expensive, and that thought leaves him even more annoyed. Koki notices Ray's dagger lying on the ground nearby. He picks it up and studies it with a curious grin. In his view, no matter how special a weapon is, it means nothing if the person holding it is weak. He then begins to wonder about the dagger's true nature. Suddenly, the dust in the cave starts to shift. Chains appear out of thin air and shoot forward. They twist tightly around Adrian and Ion, lifting them off the ground. Their bodies hang in the air, trapped and helpless. Cookie freezes. His eyes move up to his allies. Panic starts to grow inside him. The chains press against their necks and screams fill the cave. Their pain is clear. Fear takes over. Cookie calls out to them, but nothing changes. The voice of Ray rings out, calm and cold. The chains come from his soul smith skill. They do more than trap the body. They crush the soul inside. The pain is deep and leaves no escape. It is a kind of suffering that reaches far beyond death. Cookie clenches his teeth. His rage grows and his eyes search the dust. He sees Ray now, standing quietly with both hands tucked into his pockets. That calm posture only fuels the anger more. With a burst of emotion, Cookie grips the dagger tighter and charges forward. He moves quickly, aiming straight at Ray. But before he can land any blow, Ray stops him. One hand grabs his wrist, and the other pushes hard into his chest, forcing him back. Their eyes meet. Ray looks straight into him and speaks without emotion. Cookie hears the words. He has moved too slow. A frown forms across his face. Then something shifts in him. A strange smile spreads, wide and wild. He sweeps both hands across his jacket and begins to shake it. Coins fall out in large numbers, clinking as they hit the ground. He wants to use his ability again. He plans to trap Ray in another blast. But Ray doesn't wait. The soul-binding skill activates again. Chains shoot out and coil tightly around the body of Cookie. His arms freeze in place. The coins never get the chance to explode. The ability is stopped before it even begins. The chains around Cookie move again. They curl tighter around his neck, pressing down with growing force. He gaps and speaks out, confused. The coin explosion never triggered. His body is frozen and his magic is not activating. Ray answers without a change in tone. The soul-binding skill does more than just trap the enemy. If the level gap is wide enough, it stops any ability from activating. Cookie struggles to believe it. He talks about his rank, 7th level. He ranks among the fastest rising players. This kind of power difference should not exist. Ray doesn't argue. The chains lift Cookie into the air, pulling him up to where Ion and Adrian still hang. Ray says to Cookie that the speed of his growth, for a beginner, really is impressive. Cookie cries in pain. The chains dig deeper into his body, wrapping more tightly. Ray speaks again and tells them that now, the moment has come for real negotiation. He then opens his eye of the soul skill and stares at the 3 players in front of him. Their names appear before him, along with something more. He can now see what each of them carries inside, the soul fragments that can be taken under certain conditions. From Adrian, there is a chance to take the soul of an F-rank fighter. To unlock that fragment, he must be fed first. Hunger stands between Ray and the reward. From Ion, another F-rank fragment is visible, but it is not so simple. To access it, Ray must help him reconnect with his younger sister. That bond must return before the soul opens. Then Ray gazes at Cookie. The fragment is there just like the others. But this one can only be taken if fear spreads fully through his body. Ray responds right away. The chains around Cookie tighten even more. Among the 3, Cookie offers the best chance. Ray makes up his mind. This is the one. Pain surges through Cookie. He clenches his jaw, struggling to stay strong. But the pressure is too much. He breaks down and begs. He pleads for release. He swears they do not want to die. Rhee slowly walks over and picks up his dagger. He runs a finger along the sharp edge, watching the light reflect from the blade. He speaks with no emotion. Their lives hold no value for him now. What use is there in letting them live? Cookie hears this and starts to panic. His voice shakes as he asks what Ray is planning to do. Ray keeps his gaze fixed on them and begins to speak in a cold tone. He mentions their eyes, their blood, and their organs. Cutting them up and selling the parts could bring in good money. A grin spreads across his face. That way, the 50,000 would return to him, along with enough extra to cover the interest. Ayn calls out quickly, trying to break the moment. He turns to Cookie and says Rhee is clearly bluffing. He tries to sound confident. He insists that Ray would never go that far. Ray listens in silence. In his mind, he admits the truth. He's bluffing. There is no contact, no black market path where he could sell anything like that. He needs money, but even desperation has limits. Still, this fear is exactly what he needs right now. To push Cookie further, Ray speaks again. He says they can try him. If no one plans to pay, then he will take his payment in this other way. This time Cookie breaks. The fear takes hold. His voice turns shaky and he begs. He pleads with Ray to stop, to show mercy. He promises to follow any order just to be spared. Terror builds inside Cookie, the kind that digs deep past muscle and skin, straight to the bone. The air changes. A pull begins from within his body. A fragment of his soul starts to rise, drawn out by the weight of that fear. The system responds with a message. Every condition has been met. The fear has gone deep enough. A bottle appears in front of Ray, shaped like a magician's figure. The system confirms the reward. A fragment of an F-rank magician's soul is now his. The chains holding the three opponents lose their strength. One by one, the bindings loosen and fall away. All three drop to the ground. Their bodies hit hard, but their focus is only on breathing. The pressure around their necks is gone, and they start coughing as the air returns to their lungs. Ray steps forward and tosses a contract toward them. Along with it, he throws down pens. The documents lie on the ground, waiting to be signed. The three begin to read the terms. Their expressions shift from confusion to outrage. The contract demands that 90% of all loot from their future raids goes directly to Ray. In exchange, they get to walk away with their lives. Anger builds again. They call it unfair. They call it extortion. But the fear in their eyes says they know better than to challenge him now. Ray turns to them, his voice heavy with threat. He demands to know if there is a problem with the deal. No one dares to speak right away. Then, after a short pause, all three nod nervously and say everything is fine. The pens move quickly. One by one, they sign the documents. Ray picks up the pages and checks each name. Their agreement is now sealed. From this point forward, they belong to him. He makes sure they understand. If they ever try to break the contract, he will come back, not for money, but for their bodies. After a moment, he asks for something else. He tells them to hand over the contact details of the person they are working for. The shift in their expressions is instant. Their posture stiffens. Stuttering, Cookie tries to respond. Fear returns to his face. He asks how Ray figured out they were not acting on their own. Ray explains without hesitation. Players like them, new, unpolished, do not get their hands on rare weapons by luck. The equipment they carry must have come from someone stronger. Someone in the background is guiding them, giving orders, maybe even pulling strings. The words hit hard. Cookie cannot hold back anymore. His knees give out, and he drops to the ground in front of Ray. He grabs Ray's clothes, begging him not to ask for that. Taking them to their boss could mean the end. If the boss finds out they lost, the punishment will be far worse. Nothing will be left of them. Ray does not move gently. He places his foot on Cookie's head and pushes down with quiet frustration. Then he speaks again. He wants to know, are they saying that this mysterious boss is more frightening than what Ray just did? Even more terrifying than having their organs removed without any kind of anesthesia? Seeing all this, Ian begins to tremble. He tightens his fists, but his mind is falling apart. It is hard to tell what scares him more, the cold threats of Ray or the thought of their boss being contacted. The pressure becomes too much. His fear overcomes everything else. He turns and tries to run. His voice cracks and tears fill his eyes. He shouts that he wants to live. Adrian calls after him in shock, but before anyone can react further, Ray raises a finger and points at Ian. That single motion is enough. The chains react at once. They snap around Ion's neck and lift him high into the air. His body dangles helplessly, feet far from the ground. Both Cookie and Adrian look up with wide eyes. Fear takes over. They start stuttering and quickly promise that they will do everything. They say they will guide Ray just as he wants. Ray listens without emotion and adds one more command. Their weapons and any money they carry will also be taken. The reaction is instant. Both Cookie and Adrian shout out in protest. They are in shock, but they can do nothing about it. Ion, still hanging, cannot speak at all. The chain tightens further, and the color in his face begins to fade. His skin slowly turns blue. Ray reflects on how poorly things are run in this world. There is no real safety. Even the chaotic game world he knew before had better rules than this. But now, in this moment, he feels different. He no longer believes anyone can truly harm him. Ri then opens his system screen. The system screen displays his full name, Ray Endo. His level now stands at 36, showing the steady progress he has made. His main class remains listed as beginner, but the presence of a secondary class now adds something more. Soul Smith appears just beneath it, marking the new path he has taken. His current health reads as full, 1017 out of 1017. His magic power is also at its peak, standing at 1235 out of the same total. The numbers reflect balance, strength, and potential. His stamina, attack, defense, and agility, everything has grown stronger. A new title also appears among the details. The First Slayer. This title grants him 50% more damage against bosses. With this strength, Ray now stands in a place far above everyone else in this game. Night settles over the circus grounds, and inside one of the larger tents, something unsettling begins to unfold. The tent is filled with the usual sights of performance, metal structures for gymnasts, rings burning with fire, and the scent of sawdust hanging in the air. At the center of the stage, a man named Roke stands over another, striking him again and again. The blows come fast, and the sound of each hit echoes across the space. Blood splatters from the man's wounds, and after several hits, his body finally gives out and collapses to the ground. Not far from the scene, a group of people sit behind bars in a cage. One of them speaks under his breath, a whisper filled with pity. The man being beaten is not just injured, he is unfortunate. Roku brushes off his palms, looking annoyed. He complains loudly. Even a simple task seems too much for some. A twisted smile forms on his face as he stares down at the bloodied figure. He leans closer and questions whether the man feels even a little bit of guilt for failing the boss. One of the caged prisoners can no longer watch in silence. His concern grows, and he pleads for Roku to stop, fearing that the man on the ground might not survive much longer. Roku turns slowly, his eyes cold. He says that the man's life means nothing if he brings no value to the boss. Only those who contribute are needed. The rest can be left behind. Just then, a calm voice cut through. It is the boss himself, named Andra. He steps in from the shadows of the backstage area. Hearing him, Roku stiffens and quickly turns around, calling out to him with a mix of surprise and nervousness. Andra walks forward with casual air, gently adjusting his hair, and asks how the discipline lesson is going. Then he walks over to the man on the floor and lowers himself to take a closer look. He tells Roku not to go overboard. If the man ends up with broken bones, the consequences won't be helpful to anyone. He says their guild does not throw people away so easily. Even someone who fails to meet the quotas still holds some worth. Even if he is a fool, breaking him completely is not allowed. Roku realizes that Andrew is not pleased. The tension sinks into his body, and his hands begin to shake. He lowers his head and quickly offers an apology. On the ground, the wounded man lifts his face. Blood streaks across his cheeks, but a faint smile appears. Tears gather in his eye. The soft voice. He thanks the boss and tries to promise he will do better next time. Andrew does not let him finish. Without a word, he pulls the whip from his belt and swings it. The leather cracks sharply through the air before landing straight across the man's face. Blood spills from the fresh wound, and a sharp cry follows. He raises the whip again and brings it down hard onto the man's back. The punishment continues, each strike heavy and unforgiving. He speaks coldly, making it clear that someone like this deserves to be treated like an animal. Broken bones would ruin him completely. But pain leaves no damage that cannot be used again. A strong beating in his mind teaches better than kindness. Just then, 3 figures enter the tent. They call out to Andrew, saying they have returned. Andrew stops mid-swing and turns to face them. His expression turns dark and his eyes narrow as he looks over the group. He remarks on how fast they came back. Cookie steps forward hesitantly. His voice wavers as he informs the boss that they have failed. The task they were given as a group of 3 could not be completed. Andrew's gaze drops to the hand of Cookie. He notices something missing. After a moment of silence, he speaks again. The ring is gone. That item was far more important than his pathetic life. Cookie flinches under the stare. Then he quickly lowers himself, bowing deep. With a stumbling voice, he apologizes. He explains that it was taken by someone. Someone so powerful it felt like facing a monster. Andrew's anger builds quickly. Without warning, he lashes out and strikes Cookie across the face with the whip. The blow lands hard, sending Cookie falling to the floor. Adrian and Ian step back, fear written across their faces. Neither dares to speak. Adrian forces a nervous smile, but Ian simply looks away, avoiding eye contact. Andrew steps forward and begins shouting, his rage spilling over. He questions what has gone wrong with the guild, why it seems filled with fools who fail again and again. Adrian and Ian both answer only in their thoughts. The truth is simple. All the decent ones have already left. Only the desperate remain. Andrew continues yelling. In his eyes, someone like Cookie is only useful for one thing. He turns and calls out Roku and orders him to release Johnny. Roku hesitates only for a second, then walks to a corner and unlocks a gate. From behind it steps a massive white tiger. Its paws hit the floor with heavy thuds, each step louder than the last. This is Johnny, their trained beast. Johnny moves toward Cookie, who remains on the ground. The tiger grows low, then opens its jaws wide, revealing sharp teeth. Kuki begins to shake. His voice breaks as he pleads. He speaks quickly, saying he has always followed orders, that none of this is truly his fault. Andrew does not care. A smile sits on his face. He tells Johnny that it is feeding time. Johnny opens his jaws wide and steps even closer. Kuki begins to scream. He pleads loudly. But the tiger pounces, and with one strong swipe, Johnny knocks him down and prepares to strike. Before the next move can happen, a blur flashes above them. From high above, Ray drops from a metal crossbar suspended by ropes. His timing is perfect. He lets go at the right moment and delivers a strong kick straight into the side of the tiger. Johnny is knocked away and crashes to the floor with a heavy thud. Andrew steps back, worry flashing across his face. He calls out to his tiger with concern. Ray then turns to face Andrew, and a smile forms as he speaks. He says that the man lying on the floor still owes him something, and until the debt is paid, no one has the right to take his life. Kuki feels a wave of relief as he sees Ray standing nearby. A smile spreads across his face, full of gratitude. Andrew, ignoring everything else, rushes toward Johnny and kneels beside the injured tiger. He leans close, eyes wide with concern, gently asking where it hurts. The trio, Koki, Adrian, run straight to Ray. They grab his shoulders, voices filled with panic and excitement. Kuki says he thought it was over, that the tiger would be his end. Ray answers calmly. Reaching this place without being noticed took time. He tells them to stop complaining and be thankful they are still alive. Their short moment of relief does not last long. Andrew, standing up again, now filled with rage, turns toward them. He lifts his arm and swings the whip toward Ray. Ray responds in an instant. His hand moves so quickly that no one sees it clearly. The whip is sliced into several pieces before it even lands. Then he turns, holding the glowing dagger, and faces Andrew. The display of strength leaves Andrew stunned. His confidence fades and his voice shakes. He stammers, struggling to understand who this man is. Ray steps forward and states his position without hesitation. From now on, he is the new boss. Roku shouts out, clearly upset. He cannot accept what he hears. He reminds everyone of how much Andrew has done for them. Kuki says they understand nothing. Ayn agrees and adds that they have no idea how frightening Ray truly is. Saying no to him never feels like an option. Ray nods. Their words match the truth. Then he turns toward the cage holding the others. He raises his hand and offers a choice. If they agree to work under him, he will free them from this place, from the circus and its cruel master. The people inside look back with stunned expressions. One of the injured men on the ground finds the courage to ask if Ray really means it. Ray answers with a confident grin. He gives them his word. All they have to do is give him 50% of their earnings, and in return, he will offer guidance. With his advice, they can make real progress in this world. This deal, he says, is far better than serving a madman who brings only suffering. Behind him, the tribe speak up in protest. They complain that Ray took 90% from them. Ray does not let that slide. He reminds them clearly, they once tried to kill him. Everything happening around him pushes Andrew past his breaking point. His eyes narrow and the anger inside him burns hotter. First, Ray harms his precious tiger. Now he tries to steal the workers Andrew controls. That thought alone makes Andrew clench his jaw. His posture straightens. Confidence returns to his face. He declares that he will send this entire group straight into the depths of the underworld. Ray doesn't back down. He looks at Andrew and questions the way things are being run. This is Japan, not a lawless land. Slavery no longer exists, so why keep treating people like tools to be used and thrown away? Andrew reaches into his coat and pulls out a golden card. Its shine reflects the flames around the tent. He holds it between his fingers, proud and calm. The card is not ordinary. It is a guild certificate. His name is written clearly. Guild Master Andrew Lukic. The document states that the person holding the card is officially recognized as the head of a guild. It gives him the authority to carry out all administrative duties related to his guild's operation. The certificate is issued directly by the Director General of the Management Bureau under the Players Association, operating within the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications. The name stamped on it is Kenzo Yamano. Ray takes a moment to read through the text. The wording catches his interest. He lifts his head and asks what this guild certificate truly means. Andrew explains without hesitation. The Japanese government, seeing the chaos from abroad, especially in places like Moscow, decided to step in. Now guild masters are given official proof of their authority and power. This status helps them perform better in the game world. Holding the card tightly, Andrew smiles again. The law, in his mind, is already in his hands. Even the police would stay out of his way. With this card, he can bend rules and, if needed, even kill, so long as it falls under his duties. Ray listens, surprised by the new reality. It becomes clear that the system now allows such control. A card like that changes everything. A smile creeps across his face. With something like that, he could build a full empire, one that drains others of their money with no effort at all. Roko drops to his knees and presents a machine gun to Andrew with trembling hands. Andrew accepts it with a calm grin. Andrew then mocks Ray for being unaware. To receive a guild certificate, one must first reach at least a B rank, and Ray could never meet this mark. He adds, this should not concern Ray since he is going to die here anyway. Then, with cold confidence, he raises the weapon and takes aim. Andrew pulls the trigger. The gun roars as a storm of bullets tears through the air. He starts shouting insults, cursing them, calling them pests, and saying farewell. The bullets streak toward Ray at incredible speed, yet Ray doesn't flinch. He doesn't move a single step. Instead, he reaches into his inventory and draws out a glowing item, the fragment of the magician's soul. With it in hand, he lifts his arm and activates a skill called Soul Barrier. A glowing barrier forms in front of him. The shield hums softly, stopping every bullet in its path. The gunfire echoes, but none of it gets through. This is Soul Barrier, a powerful defense skill unlocked after reaching level 25. To use it, one must offer a soul fragment from an F-rank mage. The barrier's strength depends on the rank of the soul consumed. Andrew keeps firing. He sees the barrier but keeps pressing the trigger, refusing to believe it can stop him. He yells again, asking if Ray thinks such a trick will really save him. Ray begins walking forward. His steps are slow and steady. He speaks with calm certainty. Even nuclear weapons had once been fired during an extreme challenge by Russia in Moscow, yet they failed against this barrier too. Andrew hears the words but doesn't slow down. He keeps shooting, watching Ray get closer. His disbelief grows. He demands that Ray stop, but the distance keeps closing. Rocco watches in silence, covering his ears to block out the sound. His eyes show fear, and his body starts to shift back. The barrier reaches Andrew. It presses against him, and he struggles to hold his ground. His grip weakens, and the gun slips from his hands. The glowing shield keeps advancing, pushing him back without pause. Andrew grits his teeth. He plants his feet firmly and screams, using all his strength to resist. His body shakes. His arms press against the force, but the barrier does not care. It keeps moving forward, dragging him with it. Roku looks at the scene and makes a quick decision. Without another word, he turns and runs. Ray takes a few more steps forward. The barrier continues to push, and Andrew's back touches the wall. Pressure builds steadily, pressing him harder with each passing second. Cracks begin to spread across the surface behind him. The weight of the barrier becomes too much. Ray stands just in front of him before stepping aside. Andrew's body is soaked in sweat. He slides down the wall. He coughs up blood and drops to the ground, exhausted and trembling. A grin appears on Ray's face. He speaks with quiet satisfaction. In this world, skills have become the true weapons. Guns, no matter how deadly, no longer stand at the top. One of the wounded men in cages stares at them in shock. He wonders aloud if the boss has really been defeated. Another man in the cage blinks in disbelief, still struggling to accept what just happened. Ray turns toward them. A relaxed smile rests on his face. He calls them friends and reminds them of what they just saw. For their sake, he brought down a man who once ruled them like a circus clown. That should be enough reason to join him. He asks them one last time if they will contract him or not. He tells them if they do, he will even let them do whatever they want with this clone as a bonus. Meanwhile, Rocco hurries to Andrew's side and tries to help lift him from the ground. The people in the cage begin shouting. Their eyes burn with anger. They beg to be let out. They want the chance to take revenge on the ones who mistreated them. They say if they get that, they will gladly agree to Ray's offer. Andrew tries to speak again. His voice is weak. He reminds Ray that contracts with so many people are not possible without a proper guildmaster's license. Legal limits still stand in their way, and the authorities would not ignore this. Rocco becomes more nervous, seeing how weak Andrew has become. He tries to calm him, whispering something close. Ray turns his gaze back to them. He reminds Andrew of his own words. Earlier, he said people like this are no better than cattle, and only the powerful rules now. If that's true, then he is free to act however he wishes. Andrew stays silent and lowers his head. Ray unlocks the cage. The people pour out without hesitation. They do not waste time. Their eyes fall on Andrew and Rocco, two faces they have grown to hate. Andrew and Rocco look up and find themselves surrounded. Dozens of people now stand over them, faces full of rage, hands clenched, and voices rising. Screams break out. The group lunges forward. Dust swirls through the air as Chose takes over. Everyone rushes in, releasing their anger on Andrew and Rocco all at once. Ray stands quietly, still deep in thought. There is another idea forming in his mind. For almost nothing, he has gained a workforce. These people owe him. For now, they can be useful. It is a moment of opportunity. Behind him, the noise grows louder. The fight continues, wild and uncontrollable. But Ray doesn't turn around. He already knows how it ends. Ray opens his task window, eyes focused. Many things still need to be handled. His gaze falls on the time remaining. Roughly 1 month is left. That thought stays with him. The clock is ticking. The moment to move has come. Days pass, and under a bright sun, Ray walks through a busy street. His path leads to the main headquarters of the Players Association, the site where the certified exam is held. One hand holds a bottle of his favorite tea. The breeze moves gently and crowds pass on either side. Behind him, a group of young men begins to speak loudly. Their words catch his attention, and he listens without looking back. One of them shares something with excitement. Players who reach rank B or higher can now be officially recruited by guilds. These guilds even offer huge support, including generous sponsorships. He talks about the promise of a yearly income reaching 10 million yen. The friend next to him keeps his tone grounded. Dreams are fine, but reality is different. Only 1% of players ever reach rank B. In all of Japan, just 9 players have managed to reach rank A. The numbers are low for a reason. The first boy, still smiling, says he plans to become the 10th. Their voices fade into the crowd. Ray reflects, 2 weeks have passed since the worlds merged. His own world and the one from the game Prophecy Online. The impact was sudden. At first, many players accepted the government's challenge, hoping for the prize money. 10 million yen sounded like a dream. But reality hit harder. Most of them didn't survive. Monsters claimed their lives quickly. Now registration with the Players Association has become mandatory. Without that, entry into dungeons is blocked. Challenges are restricted. Even rewards cannot be claimed without formal membership. Ray replays the conversation again in his mind. Those boys have strong ambition. Their energy reminds him of something old and distant. He respects it, even envies it a little. Meanwhile, someone watches him from above. A figure is hiding on a rooftop, eyes locked on him. Ray senses it almost instantly. His focus sharpens. Right after a road sign comes flying, thrown directly at him. The heavy metal crashes into the pavement nearby, breaking stones and shaking the ground. The throw misses him, but the sudden impact draws shocked gasps from the people around. Some back away. One man yells out, confused and afraid, trying to understand how something like that could fall from the sky. A loud voice follows from above. Taku stands on the rooftop, looking down at Ray with excitement. He calls out loudly, announcing his arrival as if it were a performance. Ray lifts his head and meets his eyes. Taku shouts again, full of energy. There is no more hiding now. Then, without waiting, he leaps from the rooftop and lands beside the broken sign with a heavy thud. Ray stands calmly and asks if Taku is here for the exam as well. Ray warns him lightly, saying that he was defeated with one punch from the fist of the beginner skill last time, so trying the trial now would just be a waste of his life. Taku waves him over with a confident gesture. His smile doesn't fade. He says he is not the same as before. Things have changed. He now has a new class, Spearman. Ray lets out a small laugh and repeats the word. There is a clear amusement in his voice. Spearman is a class for people who do little more than wave long sticks around. That's how he sees it. Taku's smile disappears. The words land hard. He speaks back with frustration, wanting to know what class Ray belongs to then. Ray looks straight at him. A quiet moment passes. He answers without hesitation. His class is beginner. Taku blinks in disbelief, then bursts into laughter. He asks if such a class even exists or if Ray is playing tricks. Ray closes his eyes. There is no joke in his voice. Beginner is the class he chose, and he carries no shame in it. Taku grips the road sign still lying at his feet. A grin returns to his face. He lifts it and stands ready. He tells Ray that today he plans to prove what the Spearman class can really do. Taku lowers his stance and activates a skill. His spear flashes as he uses Destruction Blow, thrusting the weapon forward in a series of fast lunges. His body shifts to the side to create momentum. Each strike shoots forward with force and speed. Ray watches calmly. His feet move with ease, and his body slips past every attack. Not a single strike lands. He walks closer with each dodge, closing the space between them without effort. Takuo grows more frustrated. No matter how fast or sharp his movements, nothing connects. His voice rises, filled with confusion and anger. Ray now stands right in front of him. A smile rests on his face. He speaks with steady confidence. He mentions that getting into a fight right before an exam was not part of the plan, but this was not his doing. With a single swing of his arm, Ray delivers a powerful blow. Takuo flies backward through the air. For a moment, he doesn't even realize what happened. Then the ground comes up fast. His scream cuts through the noise around them, followed by the heavy crash of his body landing hard. People nearby gather quickly, drawn by the sound. Many of them look at Ray, their faces full of shock and confusion. Ray walks past them without stopping. He mentions that this was nothing more than self-defense. Nothing else needs to be said. Inside the building, he arrives at the reception desk. The woman behind the counter welcomes him politely. She informs him that the exam will cost 8,000 yen. The amount surprises Ray. It feels too high, almost like a scam. But there is no way around it. He pays the fee without a word, then takes a seat nearby. His head lowers slightly. A quiet sigh escapes him. A short time later, an association worker approaches. Her voice is kind and a small smile rests on her face. She apologizes for the wait. Ray looks up slowly. The woman adjusts her glasses and informs him that it is now his turn to take the exam for official player ranking. Hit that like button as today's goal is 1,500 likes. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. Back to the story, after a short walk through the building, they arrive in a large chamber where a massive purple crystal floats quietly in the center of the room. Its surface glows faintly, casting soft light across the walls. Ray steps forward, his eyes fixed on the crystal. He thinks to himself, this must be the core of the test. It seems simple. All he has to do is place his hand on the surface. He slowly raises his hand. There is hesitation in his fingers, but the motion continues. The moment his fingertips make contact, something stirs. A current of energy begins to flow from his body into the crystal. Then, without warning, the entire crystal shifts. A strong wave of energy pulses outward, filling the room. The glowing purple fades, and in its place, a bright blue hue takes over. The girl standing nearby gasps in shock. Her eyes widen as she watches the light grow stronger. This reaction is far beyond anything expected. Her voice trembles as she wonders what this sudden change means. Time passes. In the quiet office, the girl slams her palms on the table. Her tone is no longer casual. She calls out his name and tells Ray that the results are in. Based on everything the crystal revealed, his abilities fall within the 8 rank category, a rare and most powerful classification. She continues speaking, explaining that players at this level often choose to upgrade their class. Swordmaster, Great Magician, Archbishop. Each path opens doors to greater strength. If Ray wants, the association will assist fully in the transition. Ray listens, then answers without excitement. He declines. None of the options listed interest him. The classes mentioned do not match what he is looking for. The girl pauses, confused. Then she asks what class he does want. Rai brushes it aside. He says there is no need to fill her mind with extra details. It's not important to share that with her. She reminds him gently that even if he wishes for a different class, he cannot change into it without a special subject. That requirement must be met first, and the association is prepared to provide it. Ray replies with confidence. If that item becomes necessary, he will obtain it on his own. He asks if there is anything else worth mentioning, as his time does not allow for drawn-out conversations. The girl remains quiet for a moment, then speaks again, this time with a bit more hesitation. A slight nervousness appears in her voice. She asks if Ray truly understands the path he is choosing. It sounds like he is only making things harder for himself. Ray looks at her without much concern. He replies that he doesn't see the problem. To him, the matter is simple. She explains further. His strength already exceeds what most A-rank players can show. Normally, players ranked between A and D are allowed to change classes freely. But under the new system, those given an E rank lose that privilege. E-rank players face serious restrictions. They cannot create guilds. Many paths close off completely. And if Rai doesn't sign the class contract, he will be given an E rank. So, by refusing to sign the class contract, Rai is locking himself out of important opportunities. She urges him to reconsider. This decision may bring more trouble than expected. Ray remains calm. Government policies have always felt strange to him. This is nothing new. If he really needs a guild master certificate one day, he can simply take it another way. Someone from his recruited minions, with a B rank, could be convinced and made guild master. He reflects that only one class, in his view, can complete the final challenge of Prophecy Online. Until that class appears, he has no intention of changing into anything else. He won't chase titles just to satisfy someone else's system. He points out that even if the government classifies him as an E rank, none of those matters. If he finishes the trial test, the reward remains the same. 100 million yen. That is what truly counts. The girl begins to panic. Her words falter for a moment as she tries to respond. But Ray stops her. He tells her clearly, go ahead and assign the E rank. She lowers her head and quietly agrees. She understands his choice. No more arguments are needed. A few moments later, she reaches into a drawer and pulls out a fresh card. The label is clear. A player card marked with E rank is now his. Sometime later, Ray steps out onto the busy street, his player card now tucked into his pocket. The area is crowded with others like him, players looking for direction, power, or a place to belong. Voices float around from all sides. A group nearby speaks excitedly. Anyone with a C rank or higher is welcome to join their guild. Another group from Artemis Guild also calls out invitations, encouraging every D rank and above to come forward. Their energy is high, their effort constant. Ray watches for a moment, then smiles slightly. These people are not wasting time. They know what they want, and they are willing to fight to get it. Every guild here is doing whatever it takes to gather strong players. 2 girls approach him next. Their eyes look at him over with interest. They compliment him, saying it's easy to tell that he's powerful. They invite him to join their guild. Ray replies without hesitation. His rank is E-. The smile fades from their faces. Their posture stiffens. The tone in their voices changes quickly. They step back, apologize for the trouble, and disappear into the crowd. Ray walks on unmoved. Every time someone hears about the E rank, they pull away as if it's something contagious. None of that bothers him. He has no plans to serve under anyone. No guild holds his interest. Then, from within the crowd, his attention shifts. One man stands out. His presence is different. Not louder, not brighter. Just heavier. The aura he gives off doesn't match the others. Power radiates from him, quiet but clear. The man notices Ray watching. A smile appears on his face. He steps closer and speaks. He greets Rai by name, then hands over a small card. Rai accepts it and looks down. The name written across it reads Genesis Wings Guild, Sato Shinji. The crowd reacts at once. Whispers begin to rise. Fingers point toward the man standing in front of Ray. One name spreads fast among them. Fyodor-san. This is the one. The strongest player from the Genesis Wings Guild. Ray looks at the man in front of him and asks if people really call him Fyodor-san. The name sounds familiar, something pulled from deep in the game world's past. Fyodor gives a small, polite laugh. He says it's an old nickname, something from the early days of Prophecy Online. He sounds slightly embarrassed by it. Ray studies him carefully. He wonders if this man is some kind of local celebrity. Probably. That makes it even more likely that he should turn down whatever offer comes next. He stays cautious and asks what exactly Fyodor wants from him. Before Fyodor can answer, a loud voice cuts through the noise. Taku appears again, pushing through the crowd like he owns the place. His voice booms with pride. He announces to everyone that this is the Genesis Wings Guild. He asks if they came looking for him, saying they must want to recruit a peerless B-rank player like himself. Then he adds that he's willing to join for the right price. Ray sighs to himself. This fool again. Somehow Takuo got a beat rank. That part doesn't sit right. Ray wonders if Takuo has threatened the examiner to give him this rank. Fyodor turns toward the newcomer with a neutral expression. He calmly apologizes and asks who Taku is. He's never heard of him before. Takuo's eyes widen. He raises his voice even more, shocked that anyone could be unaware of his greatness. Angrily, he grabs Fyodor by the tie. He claims he'll now show Fyodor what he's capable of. But before he can act, Fyodor moves. In a single fluid motion, he grabs Takuo's arm, twists it behind his back, and applies sharp pressure to the shoulder. Takuo gasps from the pain. Then, with a cold expression, Fyodor tells Takuo that he has no time to waste on people like this. With the threat of existence itself drawing closer, he has chosen to spend his days with calm, not nonsense. Takuo breaks free, rubbing his shoulder. He walks away with a scowl, tossing one last comment behind him. Even if they beg for help later, he says he won't lift a finger. Fyodor adjusts his coat and turns back to Ray. He offers a quiet apology for the scene. Ray shrugs slightly. There's no need for an apology. In fact, he finds moments like this rather enjoyable. He always respects it when people like that are properly dealt with. Some time passes, and the two of them sit at a quiet table in a nearby cafe. The buzz of the street fades behind glass walls and warm lights. Ray takes a sip of his drink and finally asks what Fyodor really wanted. In his view, an E-rank player shouldn't be worth this much attention. Fyodor waves off the concern. He explains that the rank means little. Ray only received it because he refused to change classes. That decision alone placed limits around him. Ray gives a small smile. The association seems much more social than expected. News like that didn't take long to reach other players. It feels almost public. Fyodor shows a brief moment of confusion. Then he explains that his guild holds a direct connection to the association, and just as the end of existence draws closer, cooperation has become essential. The guild shares resources, information, and goals, even if it costs a lot. He calls Rai by name and makes a clear offer. If Ray agrees to join Genesis Wings, they will pay him the same amount they paid the association to access his personal records. Ray glances down as the receipt lands on the table. His eyes narrow in surprise. The number is clear, 10 million yen. A younger version of himself might have accepted without a second thought. He places the paper back down, returns it calmly, and apologizes. His answer remains unchanged. He has little interest in joining a guild, no matter the price. Fyodor leans back and admits that the offer was probably too low for someone like Ray. Then he suggests something else. Instead of membership, what about access to valuable information? Genesis Wings works with networks across multiple countries. They are known to have the largest database of knowledge. The guild can create the right conditions. They can help Ray find whatever he seeks. Ray leans back, thoughtful. He considers the idea. Then he asks if their sources include anyone who has managed to complete prophecy online. Fyodor laughs not out of mockery but from the weight of truth. He answers plainly. Not a single person on the planet has ever finished the game. Not even one. A shift takes place around Ri. A dark aura begins to gather around him. The air thickens. His energy turns heavy, sharp, and impossible to ignore. He tells Fyodor that then he is not interested in joining their guild, and his answer is final. Fyodor freezes. The pressure from Ray leaves him almost breathless. Every part of his body reacts. He tries to stay composed but fails to hide the fear. His instincts shout one thing, leave now. Without pushing the conversation further, Fyodor reaches for the bill. He tells Ray that the invitation remains open. If Ray ever changes his mind, he can reach out anytime. The coffee is on him. He walks towards the billing counter, thoughts racing. None of it makes sense. He thinks why did he give in so easily? He wonders whether he was worried that persistent solicitation would have tarnished their guild image, but he realizes that is not it. He reaches the counter and tells the worker that he will pay the bill with card. But his mind is still wandering. He knows he was just scared. His body reacted before his mind. It wasn't about guild reputation. It was fear, raw and pure. His instincts knew one thing, not to anger this monster at all costs. Fyodor thinks quietly to himself. He doesn't want to pressure Ray again. Better to leave things where they are. Then a sudden touch on his shoulder catches him off guard. He turns around quickly and sees Ray standing there, calm and silent, holding out a small piece of paper. Ray gives a quiet smile and hands it over. The message is short. If the guild ever needs him, they can reach out. Depending on the mission and the payment, he might accept. Fyodor takes the paper. His face still shows confusion, but he nods and gives thanks. Even after Ray walks away, he stays in place, thoughts swirling. He wonders who this person really is. Ray attends a call. It is Kuki on the other side. And from the expressions of Ray, it seems something important has happened. Sometime later, Fyodor steps through the doors of the Genesis Wing's headquarters. He walks into the guild master's office and stands straight. He says he has returned with his report. The guild master, a young woman, turns to face him with a smile. She asks if he met the strongest player that has the beginner class. Fyodor nods once, and then he immediately explains to the guild master that this was the first time he had met someone who made him feel true fear. Not from reputation, not from words, but simply by standing there. He says Ray is not a player. He is a monster in human form. The guild master then starts releasing her aura, sharp and deliberate. Her presence alone makes the air feel heavier. She turns her gaze toward Fyodor and speaks. She asks him who he thinks is stronger, she or Ray. Fyodor struggles to answer. His mouth opens slightly, but no words come. He lowers his head, clearly unsettled. She lifts a file from the desk. The document holds basic information about Ray. Then, in a soft tone, she tells him to stay composed. No one is going to harm him. The fact that he is hesitating to answer means something is not it. Fyodor softly speaks her name, Tsukino-san, and apologizes for his reaction. She responds kindly. There is no need to apologize. He only shared what his eyes and instincts told him. Her expression stays gentle despite the power she carries. Among the 10 strongest players of Prophecy Online, she is the 10th in power ranking and most inexperienced. In a world like this, it should be no surprise that others may exist who surpass even her. This is Yamagata Tsukino, Guild Master of the Creation Wings, one of the 10 excellent ones. These are the highest ranked players in all of Prophecy Online. 10 people capable of challenging themselves with the final reward. 10 people who hold enough power to shift the balance between nations in this world where game and reality have merged. She asks if Fyodor returned alone. That much already confirms it. Ray has rejected the offer. Fyodor explains that Ray showed no interest in the guild's database. Even the 10 million yen check meant nothing to him. Tsukino looks thoughtful. If Ray truly is the 10th among them, the reward may not be the goal at all. Fyodor still doesn't understand why Ray clings so tightly to the beginner class. If he chose to evolve, he would unlock access to powerful equipment and rare enhancements. These things remain locked away from normal players. Tsukino listens quietly, then smiles. She tells Fyodor that she highly values his discerning eye. If their reading is correct, Ray would be the world's strongest. After all, the only one whose name is still unknown among the 10 transcendents is... Fyodor completes her sentences, the number 1. Thanks to the efforts of American intelligence agencies, 9 of the strongest players in Prophecy Online had been identified and ranked. Their abilities were well documented, but one name remained missing. The first ranked number 1 was never found. For a long time, it was believed that this person didn't exist at all. Tsukino-san speaks clearly. There had been rumors. Some said the organizations had intentionally hidden the identity of number 1, keeping his power for their own purposes. That would give them unmatched control in a world now driven by strength. Fyodor nods. He had believed those rumors too. But everything changed when he met Rai. Standing in front of that presence left no doubt. That man might truly be the one they were all looking for. Tsukino stands from her seat. Her decision is made. If Rai is who they believe he is, then whichever side Rai chooses will become the strongest on the planet. She gives an order to be passed along without delay. From this point forward, any member of the Genesis Wings Guild who shows aggression or hostility toward Ray Endo will face punishment. The warning is clear. Those who cross the dragon will not be forgiven. Fyodor responds without hesitation. His expression turns serious. He gives her his word. The message will be delivered exactly as told. A few days later, Ray sets up a quiet base of operations. He rented an apartment unit and converted one of the rooms into his office. The space isn't large, but it is enough for what he needs. Inside, one of the people now working under him calls his name. Ray turns around at once, ready to listen. They are holding up a television and ask if the placement is right. Ray nods once and gives his approval. That position works fine. They can leave it just like that. Kuki opens a suitcase, the metal latches clicking open to reveal thick stacks of money inside. The day's earnings are impressive, neatly arranged and bundled. Ray picks up one of the thick wads, weighing it in his hand. The result meets his expectations. He asks how the group leveling efforts are progressing. Kuki gives a confident report. Everything continues just as Ray recommended. Teams are working steadily in the groundwater zones, gaining experience and cash. Right now, they're pulling in around 1 million yen every day. Even the newest players who once struggled to get by now earn 10,000 yen daily. That kind of income once felt impossible. All of it became real because of Ray's guidance. Ray reminds him once again, the richer his teams become, the more money flows back to him. Everyone wins. Success only grows from there. If they keep this pace, maybe it's time to think about bonuses. Cookie reflects silently. Even after handing over 90% of his earnings, the bonus from this arrangement still beats anything he would have earned in a traditional guild over an entire year. Ray watches his minions and his thoughts drift for a moment. His understanding of Prophecy Online continues to pay off. What others struggle to learn, he already knows by heart. Kuki checks the time and adds one more detail. Only 10 days remain before the Earth test ends. The prize pool has now grown to 400 million yen, 4 times what it was before. Ray nods. That number sounds good, but he holds back. There is no need to rush. The timing must be perfect. The television screen lights up with an urgent broadcast. The news anchor speaks with a tense voice. The Earth trial continues in full force. If no solution is found, Japan will face destruction in just 10 days. No progress has been made in the past 47 days. Suddenly, the anchor receives new information. A document is placed in front of her, and she reads it immediately. The Japanese government has issued an official message to all players. The prize for completing the Earth Challenge has now increased. The new reward stands at 1 billion yen. The message is clear. The government is reaching its limit. Desperation has set in. They are placing all hope on the chance that anyone will clear the challenge before the end arrives. Ray watches and his thoughts move quickly. If this goes on much longer, foreign guilds will soon appear, drawn by the size of the prize. The window to act is closing. He stands and grabs his jacket from the rack. He smiles and tells his minions that it is time for him to go. The timing is perfect. Cookie stares in disbelief. The decision came fast. He asks if Ray plans to go alone. Ray turns back without hesitation. Of course he will. The others have become too valuable to risk. These people may be moneymakers, but they are still his. Protecting them keeps his profits safe. The others in the room watch him with awe. Those words touch them more than they expect. Their eyes follow him with respect. Then Ray speaks again and tells them that this reward, the billion yen, will belong to him alone. Cookie makes a face, realizing so this was the reason all along. Their boss is as greedy as always. At the large entrance of the Earth Trial dungeon, a thick crowd has already gathered. People mill about, each of them tense, aware of the challenge ahead. The atmosphere feels heavy with anticipation. Ray makes his way through the crowd, calm and focused. Ray walks toward the gate and someone nearby spots him. It is Fyodor. He calls out, his voice carrying through the noise. Ray hears him but does not stop. He keeps walking and states firmly that he has no intention of working together. His path is already clear. Fyodor responds with a hint of regret in his voice. He had hoped to talk about a business arrangement. There is an offer on the table. If Ray is willing to deliver some cargo, he would be paid 100 million yen. This number makes Ray pause. He turns to Fyodor and asks for proof. He wants to see exactly what this delivery is. They head to a nearby area where several large backpacks are gathered in a pile. Fyodor gestures toward the bags. These are the items to be delivered. Ray walks up and inspects one of the bags. His eyes scan the contents. The pack is full of food. He pulls out a few items. Candy bars. Fyodor explains that these are the favorite snacks of their guild master. His team is stationed deep within the dungeon, on the 5th level. They have been down there for a long time, fighting to complete the conquest. Supplies are running low. Ray looks back at the bags, thoughtful. Something feels off. Offering such a huge amount just for food delivery hints at something more. If it were only about candy bars, they could have chosen anyone else. Yet they waited specifically for him. This tells him everything he needs to know. Something is hidden behind this generous reward. Fyodor admits there is no real way to deny it. He wishes he could say that his guild is simply being generous, but the truth stands with Ray's guess. The guild has already sent 39 groups into the dungeon's 5th level, yet none of them have completed the mission. Every attempt has ended in failure. Ray hears this and carefully repeats the detail. It confirms what he feared. The dungeon might no longer follow the rules of the game. Something fundamental has changed. Fyodor watches him closely and senses that Ray knows more than he lets on. He explains what their scouts have discovered so far. According to their reports, the structure of the dungeon matches the game's version. The layout and design remain the same. However, despite this, the players trying to move through it fail to reach the deeper levels. The few who are capable of surviving in those dangerous depths are already waiting far below, running out of supplies. Right now, there is a strong chance that Ray is the only one who can reach them in time. Ray quietly picks up one of the backpacks. He understands that this mission is a sign of how weak the guild's current manpower is. Still, a job is a job. If there is money to earn, he will not complain. He turns and asks whether there will be a reward for fast delivery. Fyodor smiles and agrees to pass along the question. Ray, on the other hand, begins thinking. His mind turns toward possibilities, wondering how much this guild might be willing to pay for results they cannot achieve on their own. Soon after, Fyodor returns from a phone call. He brings good news. If the delivery reaches its destination within a single day, Ray will earn an extra 50 million yen. A grin appears on Ray's face. This works out even better than expected. He turns toward the massive dungeon gate, confident and determined. He does not plan to take a full day. He can do it in just 1 hour. Sometime later, deep inside the 3rd level of the Earth Trial, a dangerous scene unfolds. 2 people stand before a towering creature that resembles a praying mantis, its body large and deadly. The monster swings its sharp claw with great force. The young man standing in front does his best to stop the attack. His entire body shakes from the impact, but he manages to hold his ground. With great difficulty, he tells the girl behind him to leave quickly. The girl looks at him with tearful eyes. She refuses to go, asking what will happen to him. But the guy offers her a final smile, filled with gratitude. He tells her that she must escape now. She starts crying and shouts his name, calling out to Michael. In that same moment, Ray appears. He races past them like a flash, faster than either of them can react. In a single motion, he slices through the mantis-like monster with his sword. The creature's body falls to the ground in several pieces. The attack happens so quickly that Michael freezes in shock, realizing how close he was to death. The girl quickly thanks Ray, saying he has saved her companion's life. But before they can say anything else, Ray is already far ahead, running through the dungeon like nothing happened. They stare in disbelief at how fast he disappears from sight. Ray continues moving forward without slowing down. He wonders aloud if the monsters have finally ended. After some time, he reaches the 5th level of the dungeon and moves through a long and narrow cave. Eventually, he comes to a halt. He checks the time on his wrist device. Only 42 minutes have passed since he began the delivery. He feels pleased, thinking that this might be the easiest money he has earned yet. Something nearby catches his attention. A blonde man comes running from behind and asks Ray, could he be Ray Endo-san? Ray places one of the heavy backpacks on the ground and asks the blonde man if he is here from the Genesis Wings Guild. Ray takes out some canned supplies from the pack and asks where the person in charge is, mentioning that he has brought the provisions Fyodor entrusted to him. He tells the blonde man to tell them to give him 150 million yen. The blonde man introduces himself as the one responsible for managing provisions. He explains that the payment has already been transferred, trusting that Ray would complete the delivery quickly, just like Fyodor assured. Ray checks the application on his phone and confirms the transaction. A sum of 150 million yen from the Genesis Wings Guild has arrived in his account. A satisfied smile appears on his face. It feels good to work with people who keep their promises. Turning toward the group, the man announces that their supplies have finally arrived. The guild members quickly rush over and begin unloading food from the large backpacks. Relief spreads across their faces. Some of them say that they had almost lost hope and were starting to believe they would starve deep inside this dungeon. Now that Ray has arrived, they believe they can recover. Ray takes a moment to observe them. Their condition is far from stable. Hunger and fatigue are visible on their faces. The man standing beside Ray nods and agrees. He mentions that many lives have already been lost during the ongoing conquest. Before anything more can be said, several guild members come running toward the camp from a nearby path. Panic is written all over their faces. They breathe heavily, warning the others to escape quickly. They say that something is advancing toward them, and no one will be safe if it arrives. The blonde man becomes anxious and asks what has frightened them so much. Then suddenly, a terrible scream echoes through the cave, loud enough to force everyone to cover their ears. A thick cloud of dust rises near their camp. A swarm of giant beetles begins flying toward them at high speed, shaking the ground beneath. Ray realizes that this is no ordinary threat. The speed and number of enemies point to a full-blown swarm. Then out of nowhere, bright streams of lava shoot past him. The lava tears through the air with immense power and burn down several incoming monsters. Ray looks back in surprise. Tsukino-san now stands behind him, with a sword in hand. She has just used a powerful technique to save the guild members from the incoming threat. Ray recognizes the attack immediately. It is the Flame of Destruction, a technique known only to those who have mastered the Elementalist's special class. He did not expect to meet anyone who had already achieved such mastery. Hit that like button, as today's goal is 1,500 likes. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. Back to the story, Tsukino-san finishes off one of the large beetles with a precise strike, its heavy body collapsing onto the ground. Her expression softens as she turns to Rie and greets him. She expresses her thanks for accepting the delivery mission from her guild. She then formally introduces herself as Yamagata Tsukino, the guild master of Genesis Wings. She mentions that she hopes they can continue to work closely. Ray doesn't answer right away. He simply stares at her. A dark aura begins to form around him. He senses something powerful from her too. She steps closer. Her presence becomes even stronger, and the aura in her eyes grows dense and focused. But suddenly, just a few steps away from him, she stumbles. Her body leans forward, almost falling. A small laugh escapes her lips, and she apologizes quickly. She admits that she hasn't eaten anything in a long while. Her legs no longer have the strength to hold her weight properly. Rie glances over at the rest of her guild. Some of them are still fussing over food, reaching into the backpacks and bickering over supplies. Ray quietly remarks that he had heard they were low on food, but now it seems that things have reached the point of real hunger. They move into one of the tents and sit at the same table. Tsukino-san unwraps a chocolate bar and begins to eat with relief on her face. Ray watches her and asks if she is the strongest member of her squad. Tsukino-san nods and admits it. Even though she ranks last in strength among a certain group, she still holds a place in the top tier of players. She explains that she is one of the 10 players known as the 10 Excellent Ones. Ray listens and raises an eyebrow at the name. It sounds strange to him. Tsukino notices his reaction and suddenly slams her hands on the table, cheeks turning red. She insists that the name isn't strange at all. According to her, this title was officially given to the top 10 players who have consistently stayed at the top since the time the game still existed in virtual form. The government is the one who decided on that title. Ray sits back and processes what she said. The idea of the government identifying top players and officially ranking them begins to raise more thoughts in his mind. He wonders how they even managed to track their abilities and determine their strength in the first place. Tsukino-san explains that the rankings of the strongest players were originally put together by intelligence agencies from the United States. They managed to gather data on many of the top players, but they could never identify the one who ranked first. That person remained a mystery. Despite this, the known top 10 players are sponsored by their respective governments. Even with that support, no one had been able to uncover the identity of the top-ranked player. Ray thinks over her words. The fact that such players receive financial support doesn't surprise him much. He places a tea bag on the table and calmly asks about the amount governments usually offer. Tsukino-san responds, saying the payment amount depends on the country. In Japan, the players receive around 1 million yen. Ray immediately remembers the money that was transferred to him. That amount sits fresh in his memory. Frustration starts to rise inside him. He thinks about how, because of that money, he became deeply addicted to gambling all his possessions to the game, chasing numbers and rewards. That obsession almost destroyed his life. And now, this reminds him of that dark time. He wonders if maybe it's best not to tell anyone who he really is. If his true identity gets out, it will bring problems he doesn't want to deal with. He tells Tsukino-san that still the prize for completing the Earth test is worth far more than the government sponsorship. Tsukino-san nods and admits that sponsorship money may not seem like much in comparison. The real fortune lies with the knowledge to understand this game and how to survive in it. She adds that nobody has ever defeated the monster that guards the dungeon's final level. Rai listens carefully. Even someone like her, one of the most powerful among all players, has not been able to take it down. Tsukino-san admits that no matter her skill, she is still only human now. If she still had the same level and powerful equipment she once used in the game, maybe the fight would be different. But in the current reality, the odds are far from in her favor. Ray rises from the table and tells her he understands the situation, and he is going to eliminate the final boss. Before leaving, he reminds Tsukino-san that he has already completed their delivery mission. If more help is needed, they can reach out to him. Everything will depend on the price. Without waiting for a response, he leaves the chamber with a calm but focused expression. His thoughts turn toward the main goal. There is no way to earn 1 billion yen by standing still. The boss of this level must be defeated. Tsukino-san suddenly stands up and calls after him. She says that she wants to take on the boss together with him. A few members of her guild, standing nearby, react with surprise. They express doubts and insist they can handle the fight on their own. One of them speaks up, saying they shouldn't trust someone as strange and unpredictable as Rai. Tsukino-san reminds them of her earlier order. No one is allowed to act with hostility toward Rai. She understands their frustration but explains that she cannot afford to lose anyone else. Her voice becomes more firm as she speaks. The guild members go quiet, remembering what happened the last time they fought the boss. Back then, the battle was intense and painful. Tsukino-san had struck at the leg of a massive spider with her sword and activated her Hellfire skill, but the monster's defenses held strong. Her attack did not cause any serious damage. Around her, wounded guild members were calling out in distress. The monster had broken through their defenses, and many of them could no longer stand. Tsukino-san gave the command to fall back. She told those who could still move to help the injured and get to safety. One of her team members, stepping forward with his shield, tried to hold back the beast. He told her to escape while he created a distraction, but she refused to leave anyone behind. Then the monster attacked again. With one brutal strike, it crushed the man who had tried to protect her. Tsukino-san stood in silence, unable to react to what just happened. Her eyes stayed wide and her mouth did not move. Her heart felt heavy and her teeth clenched as she held back everything inside. The loss still lingers in her mind. Now, even if she could save just one person, even that would be enough for her right now. A deep belief rises inside her. She truly thinks that, together with Rai, they can prevent any more painful losses. In a firm and steady tone, she speaks to her guild. Every single member stands quietly, their eyes focused on her. No one interrupts. No one doubts. She explains that clearing this test ground is not only about passing a challenge. It is the only way to bring balance back to Japan. It is also the only thing they can do to honor those who have already fallen. Hearing these words, hope slowly returns to the eyes of her team. Their faces light up with courage and belief. Just then, Ray speaks up and breaks the moment. He seems moved, almost amused, and then gives a cheeky smile. He turns away and casually states that he can take down the boss all by himself. His tone surprises everyone. Tsukino-san watches him walk, wondering what kind of person talks like that. But somewhere deep down, she knows he might really be capable of doing it. She follows behind him and reminds him that he once said she could ask for help. She is now ready to accept that offer and invites him to join their group in taking down the boss. Ray looks over his shoulder, his grin returning. Something in her tone makes him think that this is not only about defeating the monster. It is a great opportunity to earn some more money. She quietly admits that they are asking for a lot, and for that reason, they are ready to offer extra payment as a sign of respect. Ray lights up at the word. This is exactly what he wants to hear. He turns to face her completely and says he will agree on 2 conditions. First, every member of her group must pay 10 million yen in advance. Second, no one is allowed to speak about what they will see in the coming battle. Only then will he fight at their side. They all understand what Ray has been hired to do. He must defeat the boss and protect every single soldier in the guild. This is the reason behind his high fee. Tsukino-san gives a calm smile and agrees without hesitation. Her guild members, filled with worry, call out to her. Some of them try to stop her decision, thinking it is too much. She raises her voice and tells them that they must trust her. This is the time to defeat the boss, and they will support Ray with everything they have. Everyone begins to get ready. Ray watches them and wonders about something. If each member is paying 10 million yen, then this guild must have a massive amount of money. They agreed to his conditions so easily. That thought stays in his mind as they all begin to move forward through the dungeon together. Up ahead, they notice something unusual. There is a large group of flying monsters rushes towards them. The guild members become anxious and begin counting the creatures. There are too many. Their voices rise in panic. Rai calmly pulls out his sword and says he is willing to handle them if they pay him more. Tsukino-san chews on a piece of chocolate and calmly steps forward. Flames swirl around her body with great force. She says she will handle them herself. She will not allow these monsters to ruin what she and Ray have planned. She then uses her ultimate move, a powerful skill called Fire Whirlwind, and the next moment, fire spreads over a wide area, burning through the flying monsters. They fall one after another. Ray watches closely and is honestly impressed. Her skill and timing are perfect. The guild members also watch with admiration and say that this is exactly what they expect from their leader. After burning them all, Tsukino-san quietly lowers her sword, and the flames disappear into the scabbard. She turns back to Rai and calmly asks him to let's go. Ray takes out his phone and checks something. A small thought crosses his mind about Tsukino-san. He wonders if she really finished that huge pile of snacks in just 10 minutes. He then sees that the advance payment has already been received. A small smile forms on his face, and he turns ready to move forward. He gives her a nod, letting her know that it's time to take on Japan's toughest challenge. The group begins walking together with determination. This is the moment they plan to finish the dungeon once and for all. Time passes and they reach deeper into the trial grounds. Ray stands still, not rushing into the fight. The other guild members are busy dealing with the monsters. One of them starts to doubt Rai. His eyes stay fixed on him, and his voice carries a mix of worry and frustration. He asks Tsukino-san that after such a high payment, he expected something more from Ray, maybe flashy moves or powerful attacks. Tsukino-san listens quietly, but then points something out. She tells him to look closer at the results. The monsters that Ray has taken down show no visible injuries. Their bodies remain untouched, but they lie still, clearly defeated. This kind of result does not come from weak or careless attacks. It takes precision and deep understanding of the enemy. She explains that the movements of Rai are simple. He does not try to avoid the enemy's strikes, and his attacks lack the flashy energy that others rely on. Still, there is something powerful hidden behind the way he moves. She wonders to herself what kind of strength he will reveal once they step into the boss's room. Sometime later, just before they enter the boss room on the 5th level, Ray stands quietly and looks at the giant door ahead. Memories from the past begin to rise in his mind. It has been a long time since he last faced this challenge. A member of the team, standing beside him, starts to feel uneasy. This place carries a heavy and strange feeling, and it makes his body shiver. Another member, a girl who is ready to use healing magic, notices him and asks if he feels okay. Tsukino-san steps ahead and brings everyone's focus back. She draws her sword with a steady hand and tells the group that it is time to act. Their fallen comrades still weigh on their hearts, and this battle is their chance to make things right. Once the door opens, everyone must attack with everything they have. No hesitation. No holding back. The moment arrives. The heavy door opens with a deep echo, and the group rushes forward into the boss room. Their footsteps echo as they head straight toward the enemy. A loud system message fills the air. It confirms that they are now facing the boss of the 5th level of the Earth test. The monster before them is the Vermilion Spider. Without delay, Tsukino-san and her guild members unleash their strongest attacks. Skills like Hellfire, Fire Fist, and Phoenix Fury are released with explosive power. The room shakes as a massive burst of fire and energy surrounds the spider. For a short moment, some of them believe the attack worked. Their eyes light up with hope. Maybe they defeated it. Ray stands calmly and observes everything. His expression remains serious. That short moment of joy fades quickly. The monster is not defeated. It still stands. Tsukino-san stares ahead in disbelief as the massive spider lifts one of its thick legs and swings hard. The powerful strike sends several guild members flying through the air. crashing into the ground in different directions. The battle has only just begun. The huge spider, even after taking several strong attacks, stands without a single sign of injury. This shocks everyone in the room. Confusion spreads across the group. Tsukino-san begins to wonder why their attacks did not work. In her experience, insect-type monsters usually take heavy damage from fire-based skills. Rei stands calmly and explains that she is correct. But there is a problem. Their attacks are not strong enough. Even if the monster is weak to fire, the power behind those attacks is too low to make a difference. Suddenly, the spider fires a thick spray of web directly at Tsukino-san. She does not expect the move and reacts quickly. Along with her guild members, she jumps aside just in time. Her feet hit the ground firmly, and she warns everyone that the spider's web is dangerous. Anyone caught in it will have a hard time breaking free. Rei is standing beside two guild members and sees another large web flying toward them. Without any hesitation, he grabs both of them and keeps his eyes on the attack. He jumps into the air with the two in his grasp and avoids the incoming web. He lands safely, far from the center of the fight. However, the boy he was carrying lands hard on the ground, apologizes for being a burden. Rei turns toward him and responds without emotion. There is no need for apologies, he says, but reminds them that if someone dies, his reward will go down. However, if they insist on acting foolishly and keep putting themselves in danger, then each rescue will cost them another 1,000,000 yen. The guild member becomes flustered and mutters that it feels like real extortion. Rei shifts his focus back to the battlefield. A thought crosses his mind. He could keep dragging the fight, letting them fall into danger again and again. That way, the payment would keep increasing. But he pauses. This guild is closely connected to the government. If he keeps playing this greedy game, it might end up creating serious trouble for him later. Rei keeps his eyes on the battlefield and activates a special ability called Eye of the Soul. His mind begins to analyze the system window that appears in front of him. It shows something unusual. Yamagata Tsukino, swordsman's soul fragment type D, can be extracted. But the condition is, he must make her experience the greatest surprise of his life. This catches his attention. A decision forms in his mind. There is no reason to hesitate. The moment feels right to take a chance. He pushes off the ground with great force, shooting forward through the air. His body moves fast and his sword glows with energy. All of it is channeled into a single powerful strike. He approaches the massive spider, like monster, and swings his sword with precision. One of the boss's legs is sliced clean off. This sudden attack draws the full attention of the monster. Its huge eye locks onto Rei, and the atmosphere around them changes. The monster raises its large claw and swings it down with great force. The impact creates a blinding burst of energy. Dust and debris fly everywhere, and Tsukino-san lifts her arm to shield her face. Her heart sinks. She believes it is over. Their final hope might have been crushed just like that. But her thoughts stop midway. Rei is standing in the middle of the explosion's aftermath, completely unharmed. One of his hands holds back the giant claw of the monster, and his calm expression shows no fear. The system window announces the activation of a skill called Fortitude. The requirement to use this ability is any soul fragment, even one of a low rank. Gasps rise around the battlefield. The others stare at him in disbelief. Against all expectations, Rei has survived the hit and blocked the powerful monster's attack with only one hand. Rei lifts the massive spider monster with great force and begins to swing it around. His strength builds with each rotation. The monster spins through the air, and then he hurls it aside. Its body crashes across the ground, leaving a deep mark in the dirt from the impact. Without wasting time, Rei dashes to the creature's side. The monster lies there upside down, and there is a giant rede on its belly. Rei's body starts to glow with a strong aura. He announces that the belly of the spider is its weakest point. He brings down his sword with full strength. A burst of energy follows the strike, and it flows across the monster's entire body. The people watching from a distance begin to cheer. They believe the battle has been won. Their expressions light up with hope. Rei turns to them and speaks calmly. Their celebration seems too early. He explains that the fight has not ended. Suddenly, a thick red smoke pours out from the wound on the spider's stomach. Shock spreads through the guild members as they stare at the creature. They realize that something has changed. The spider's huge eye shuts tight, and a surge of powerful energy spreads across the area. The monster pushes itself up from the ground and rises again. Some people cannot believe what they are seeing. It now appears even larger than before. Now the giant spider stands tall on just 2 legs. Its size and aura have grown. Rei remains steady, his eyes on the beast. He explains that this monster is the vermilion spider and it always enters a second stage, and in this form it becomes far more dangerous and wilder. The guild members react with shock. They are clearly surprised by what just happened. Some begin to speak loudly, unable to believe that Rei already knew the boss had a second stage. They wonder why he never mentioned it earlier. The information feels too important to have been kept hidden. Rei stays calm and begins to use another skill. A glowing thread stretches out from his hand and wraps tightly around the monster. This is the soul thread skill, and it connects him to the boss like a magical link. He moves fast, running alongside the monster with sharp focus. He jumps high into the air. The thread around the monster pulls tight and begins to glow as well. A massive magic circle appears beneath the creature. The system displays a message, confirming that the conditions for a powerful skill have been met. The soul incineration ability can now be activated. It requires level 40 and 3 specific soul fragments, one each from a sorcerer, a fire user, and a warrior, all ranked E-. Tsukino-san notices the energy growing and waves her hand to signal her team. She tells them to take cover because this spell is far too dangerous. Everyone around begins to scatter and move to safety. Ray then speaks a single word, and in that moment, an intense wave of fire bursts out. The giant spider is immediately swallowed in flames. The fire is violent and full of power, and the boss lets out a terrible scream as it burns. The pain from this attack is overwhelming. Tsukino-san watches everything closely. Her eyes reflect pure surprise. She starts to realize that Ray's flames are far beyond anything she can summon. They are stronger, deeper, and more destructive. Ray, still standing in place, keeps his gaze locked on the burning boss. The guild members start to cheer with a deep sense of relief. Everyone feels glad that the monster has finally fallen. Their joy grows even more when they realize that none of their comrades has been hurt in the fight. A few of them spot something unusual nearby and draw everyone's attention to it. There, on the ground, lies an enormous chunk of shining gemstone. Valuable items often appear after defeating a boss, but this stone is far larger than anything they have seen before. Just when some of them try to move toward it, Rai raises his hand and signals them to stop. He calmly warns them, but the guild members react with frustration. They believe that Ray has already taken a large payment and now wants to claim the reward drop as well. In the middle of this argument, something unexpected happens. The massive gem begins to shift and tremble slightly. Ray stays composed and watches it without panic, calling them fools in his mind. Everyone else stands frozen in surprise. The vermilion spider, which they believed was defeated, transforms into something new. The dark shell becomes coated in a burning red shine. This is its perfect form. It is the true boss of the Earth Trial. Guild members raise their voices in disbelief. The fight is not over. The monster immediately unleashes another powerful spell. A huge wave of energy sweeps across the battlefield. Many players are thrown into the air without warning. Tsukino-san notices that the creature's area attacks are now faster and stronger than before. She manages to shield herself using magic, but not everyone is so lucky. A few members of her guild are struck and fall helplessly. Her face fills with worry as she watches her comrades in pain. Ray quickly rushes to her side. He reminds her with firm words that if she really wants to survive, she cannot afford to lose focus now. Her priority should be to get her team to safety. Tsukino-san runs behind Ray, calling out to him in a worried tone. She wants to know what he plans to do next. He gives a simple answer through his actions, not words. His body moves quickly and smoothly, dodging each heavy strike from the giant monster. He clearly shows that he intends to fight the boss alone. Tsukino-san watches him in shock, barely able to believe what she is seeing. Her thoughts race as she tries to understand how he can move so easily between such fast and dangerous attacks. She is unable to complete her thought because Ray explains something important. This monster, in its current state, does not care who it attacks. It will continue to strike wildly until every player in the room is dead. He urges them to escape while they still have the chance. Dodging is one thing, but defeating a beast like this is something else entirely. Rai then swings his sword toward one of the monster's large red tentacles. The attack makes a loud impact, but the tentacle remains untouched. The monster seems to enjoy this and lets out sounds of satisfaction, pleased by Ray's failed attempt. Realizing the situation, Ray quickly retreats from the next wave of attacks. He thinks to himself that even his scorching dagger is useless against this form. He prepares for a new strategy. His eyes lock on the weak spot, and he jumps into the air with a single leap. A bright glow surrounds him as he activates the Soul Reserve skill. A powerful energy begins to build up around him. The other guild members stay hidden behind the protective barrier, watching in fear and confusion. They wonder silently what kind of person would throw himself into such danger so easily. Ray, with a faint smile, keeps his focus. He pierces forward, aiming for the weak spot. The monster reacts quickly and strikes back. Its long tentacles hit him hard, stabbing deep into his body. Ray clenches his teeth, holding in the pain, but a scream still escapes from his throat. Tsukino-san and her guild members freeze in shock when they see what happens. The moment feels heavy, and she quickly shouts out Ray's name, running toward him with worry in her eyes. Ray, even with wounds across his body and blood flowing freely, looks calmly at the monster. He wears a strange smile, as if everything is going according to plan. He hints that the beast has walked right into his trap. The monster is clearly caught off guard. Ray activates one more soul-based skill called Soul Rampage. This sends out wave after wave of powerful energy. These strikes hit the monster's body with full force, tearing it apart. Its form begins to crumble, breaking into countless pieces that turn into glowing, colorful gems. The victory is clear, and with this Ray begins to fall from the air with a satisfied look on his face. His body crashes hard into the ground, raising a thick cloud of dust all around him. It is a painful landing. He looks up at the system window and confirms to himself that the pain is worse than expected. His thoughts grow serious. If his health is not restored in the next few seconds, his soul's protection will fade and he will die. Several healers rush over, lifting their staffs and casting healing spells. Their combined magic surrounds him with light and warmth. His wounds slowly close and his strength returns. He stands up straight and brushes off the dust. He admits with some relief that their quick help saved him from using his last resort. Tsukino-san stands nearby and listens closely. She seems to understand what happened and asks him if this whole plan was prepared from the beginning. Rei shows a small grin and responds with confidence. To him, this feels just like playing Prophecy Online. In that world, taking attacks to the point where one is about to die is a basic technique. The guild members along with Tsukino-san react with disbelief. Their eyes widen and their voices tremble with concern. They cannot believe how casually he treats something so dangerous. Tsukino-san tries to remind him gently that they are no longer inside a game. This is reality now. Rei nods and replies calmly. He knows that this world is no longer just a game. Still, the strategy worked exactly the same way as it did before. That is why he never doubted the outcome. Tsukino-san stands frozen, her face filled with disbelief. Her expression shows complete shock, and it becomes clear that she cannot understand what kind of thoughts are running through his mind. The system suddenly sends out a notification. It confirms that the requirement for obtaining the soul fragment of a rank D swordsman has been completed. The specific condition was to cause the bearer to experience the greatest surprise of their life. Rei holds the glowing fragment in his hand and studies it quietly. His thoughts drift for a moment. This was not just a surprise. It felt more like a complete shock for her. Still, that emotion was enough to meet the condition. He smiles to himself, feeling a bit lucky. Now he has obtained a rare and valuable piece of power. The system continues its update. It officially announces that the Earth trial has been completed successfully. It now asks the participants to submit the names of those who cleared the dungeon. The countdown begins, showing that 5 minutes remain before the dungeon completely disappears. Excitement quickly spreads among the guild members. Cheers echo through the cave as everyone starts celebrating. Their voices carry feelings of relief and joy. They talk loudly about how they finally did it. They managed to defeat the boss, and they believe it is all because of Rei. There is louder clapping and loud praise as someone even says that Japan has been saved. This victory means they can finally relax. Rei looks around at the excitement and keeps his calm. The thought crosses his mind that the reward for clearing the test is massive. Originally, he had planned to take all of it himself. Now, seeing their reaction, a new idea forms in his head. He tells Tsukino-san maybe they can submit the names instead and later send the full amount directly to his account. That way, the paperwork is handled, and he still receives what he came for. Tsukino-san looks at Rei with curiosity and asks him about the reason for transferring the credit. Rei explains his thinking calmly. He says that it will cause a huge reaction if the world learns that someone unknown was able to clear a test that no one else could beat. That kind of story would spread too fast. Instead, if a popular and established guild is declared the winner, people will accept it more easily. The guild will gain glory and honor, and rewards in future trials will likely be even greater. He quietly reflects on the situation. If the truth about his role comes out, it will become difficult for him to earn easy money again. People will follow him, ask questions, or even try to control him. That is not something he wants. Tsukino-san listens and understands his concern. Her position as a guild master means she cannot turn down such a chance. Still, on a personal level, she feels a bit uncomfortable. It feels like she is taking credit for something she didn't fully do. Rei quickly assures her that it is not stealing. In fact, it can be seen as a hired job. They paid him to defeat the boss, and he did it. That was the deal. Tsukino-san finally agrees and tells the system to register her guild as the one that passed the test. A system notification confirms that the names have been saved successfully. The victory officially belongs to the Genesis Wings Guild. Rei looks around at the group. He believes no one will reveal the truth. Speaking out now would be like accusing their own guild of stealing credit from a newcomer who had no fame. That would only cause trouble for everyone. Like others, he picks up a large glowing crystal. In his mind, he compares the situation to theft, but this time it works in his favor. Meanwhile, the system announces that Japan has avoided destruction. The Earth trial has been officially cleared. Hit that like button as today's goal is 1,500 likes. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. Back to the story, sometime later, a helicopter flies above the dense forest. Inside, a girl speaks to her team, saying that the earthquake has continued since morning, and they have identified the dungeon used for the Earth trial as the center of the shaking. She explains that they need to check that location quickly, since the dungeon is almost completely destroyed. Very soon, players are expected to return to the surface. At the same moment, deep underground, players inside the collapsing dungeon shout warnings to each other. Everything around them is falling apart. Large stones tumble down, and the air is filled with noise and shaking. Suddenly, a giant magic circle appears above their heads. It glows brightly and begins pulling them upwards. The system announces that the ground test has been cleared, and now all players are being teleported back to the surface. Everyone, including Ray, is lifted together through the light of the magic circle, their bodies surrounded by energy. They rise quickly, leaving behind the crumbling dungeon. When they finally reach the surface, sunlight greets them. Many of the players blink their eyes and stretch their arms, feeling the warmth on their skin. The fresh air fills their lungs after such a long time spent underground. Smiles appear on many tired faces. In front of them stands a huge monument. It glows softly, newly formed at the sight of the vanished dungeon. Tsukino-san looks at it with joy and pride. The mission is truly complete. On the monument, bold letters are engraved, stating that the Earth trial was passed by a brave group of heroes from the Genesis Wings Guild. Reporters rush in from all sides. They shout with excitement, recording everything. They ask loudly whether the test was really completed and want to know who these heroes are. For the media and the world watching, this moment becomes a historic event. People in the crowd begin pointing at Tsukino-san and her guild members. They quickly recognize them as the group that took part in the dungeon conquest. Tsukino-san notices the growing number of reporters gathering around and comments to herself that these journalists must never sleep. The attention is overwhelming. She calls out to Ray, wanting to confirm if he still stands by their agreement. Before she can say anything more, she realizes something strange. Ray is gone. She looks around but cannot find him anywhere nearby. One of her guild members approaches and hands her a note. He explains that Ray left it behind for her. Tsukino-san opens the note and reads it. It says that if trouble ever arises and funds are available, she can always contact him. He promises to help solve any issue. After reading it, she gives a small smile and finally feels like she understands what kind of person he truly is. A swarm of reporters closes in, surrounding her with cameras and microphones. They recognize her as Tsukino-san from the Genesis Wings Guild. The questions pour in about the dungeon's disappearance, the boss fight, and whether Japan is safe now. A guild member named Hiroshi steps forward, trying to calm the media. Tsukino-san gently tells him to step back. She clears her throat and prepares to speak. Turning to the cameras and the crowd, she makes an announcement to the people of Japan. Her voice is firm but filled with emotion. She proudly shares the good news that her guild has passed the Earth trial. Journalists press in even closer, eager to hear every word. Their eyes light up with joy, capturing the moment on every major channel. Tsukino-san continues and adds something important. She explains that the success of the mission was not solely the work of her guild. The victory was only possible because all the players worked together and gave it their best. Kuki and An arrive just in time, driving up in a sleek car. Ray steps forward and gives them a quick nod, saying they made it exactly when needed. Kuki tells him that the car has been delivered as promised. Ray glances at the vehicle with quiet satisfaction and says that the timing is perfect. Back at the ceremony, Tsukino-san stands in front of the cameras. Surrounded by her guild members, she takes a moment to speak from the heart. She expresses her gratitude to every player who took on the challenge of the Earth trial. Together, the group lowers their heads in a respectful bow, showing their appreciation for the support and efforts of others. The crowd reacts warmly. One of the reporters comments that this show of humility is rare, saying that this is exactly the kind of leader the Genesis Wings Guild has. Meanwhile, Ray is already far from the spotlight. He sits behind the wheel of the car, looking out the window with a calm expression. His eyes follow the fading image of the broadcast playing on nearby screens. He knows Tsukino-san has gained the recognition she wanted. For him, fame holds no interest. Popularity only brings unnecessary attention, which he prefers to avoid. What matters to him is that the money ends up in his account. He sees her as the perfect public face, someone who can take the glory while he stays hidden. If needed, she can be the shield behind which he works. Feeling a bit tired and hungry, Ray says they need to stop for food. Kuki immediately nods, eager to follow his lead. Back in the city, television screens across Japan continue to show the broadcast. The news is everywhere. The anchor speaks with energy, saying this is an exclusive report. Japan has avoided destruction. The Earth trial has been completed. The Genesis Wings Guild has become the second group in the world after the United States to clear the challenge and save their country. This becomes a national celebration. Inside a large hall, mysterious people gather at a long table, and their eyes are fixed on the news as it plays. The room stays quiet except for the voice on the TV. Meanwhile, inside the building of the Gold Farm Guild, Ray is sitting comfortably in his office. He stares at a message on his screen and confirms that 1 billion yen has been transferred into his account. He leans back, satisfied. Nearby, two of his minions whisper to each other in disbelief. One of them repeats the amount quietly, unable to believe it. 1 billion yen. The other shakes his head and says it doesn't matter, because they probably won't even get to see any of that money. They wonder aloud why they are working so hard, doing such strange tasks. But then they remind each other that when the director gives an order, they simply follow it. That's how it works in this guild. Ray leans back in his chair, and his eyes are fixed on the screen of his phone. A nameplate is placed on the table with his name and title. It turns out he has appointed himself as the clerk of the Gold Farm Guild, and Ray, the almighty clerk, commands absolute obedience. Ray slowly lowers the phone, then turns to face Rumi. He asks her about the progress of the guild's registration. Rumi walks closer with a file in hand. She tells him that the registration is complete. Still, her face shows uncertainty. The document confirms her as the guildmaster, with her name officially listed, Rumi Sato. The certificate also gives her full control over all administrative duties. Even so, she hesitates, unsure if she should really be the one in charge. Rai listens calmly and reminds her of an important rule. Only players with a rank of B or above can create and lead their own guild. With his current E rank, the system does not allow him that privilege. That is why he chose her name for the position. Rumi looks uneasy. She tries to explain that there might be better candidates than her. She says she doesn't fully understand the responsibilities of a guild master. Ray looks at her and says his decision was not made without thinking. She was chosen because she is the right fit. Ray reflects that thanks to his guidance and strategies, all the members of Gold Farm have improved greatly. Now, they hold B rank or even higher. But even among them, there are differences in aptitudes. Rumi is the least suited for earning money, but she's quick, witted, and great with people. Rai tells her that he believes that her attitude and personality make her stand out. She may not earn the most, but she works hard, treats everyone with kindness, and never causes problems. These qualities make her perfect for the role. Standing nearby, Kuki then lifts his phone and shows something on the screen. He says that people online have already started talking about Rumi. News of the Gold Farm Guild is spreading quickly. Reports are calling them a new and powerful guild on the rise. Interviews have started to appear, and Rumi is introduced as the guild master in them. Everyone is watching closely because every single member of this new guild has a B rank or better. Ray reads through the latest news and sighs. They are famous because every one of their guild is B rank. He says so it was right decision of him to make himself the clerk. Being an E rank would have tarnished the guild repo. Kuki, however, raises an eyebrow and wonders why Rai even needs a guild. After all, Rai already managed to make a fortune without needing one. Ray adds that there is more to it than just money. His real goal is to receive trial, clearing commissions. Rumi explains that in addition to large-scale trials targeting nations or continents, there are also smaller trials targeting areas like towns, cities, or prefectures. These local challenges might not get much attention, but the rewards are real. And importantly, only guilds officially recognized by the state can take on those trials. Cookie hears this and feels surprised. He never knew such trials even existed. Rumi smiles and says that she is becoming sharper every day. She then hands Ray a tablet and says that they have already prepared a list of easier trials that offer decent rewards. Ray looks at the screen but waves his hand to refuse. He says they will go after one specific trial first. Rumi looks at the document again and wonders what makes it special. The trial takes place in a European-style mansion and the reward is 5 million yen. Compared to the effort needed, there are definitely harder trials that offer more money. Kuki quietly comments that Ray usually accepts jobs with huge amounts of money, so since when did he start thinking about jobs with little money? Ein hears him and says that it might be better to keep those thoughts to himself. Rumi calmly explains that it is not just about the reward. Since Ray pointed it out himself, there must be something else hidden in that mansion, something valuable beyond just money. Ray hears this and smiles. His eyes shine with interest. He agrees with her quickly and says they cannot afford to ignore this opportunity. Rumi sees the serious look on his face and suddenly understands. She nods, still surprised but ready to follow his lead. After some time, Ray is driving down a quiet road. Rumi calls him. She is holding files in one hand and speaks to Ray over the phone. She explains that the task he mentioned earlier has been intercepted by their guild. They were able to secure a better reward, 5.4 million yen. Ray listens and praises their work. He says that he will reach the location in about 30 minutes. Just then, another phone resting on the passenger seat begins to ring. The sound pulls his attention. Yuji is on the line. In a soft voice, he says that he has arrived at the location Ray had marked earlier. He reports that some unfamiliar people have already entered the house. Ray quickly asks how many there are. Yuji replies that 5 people went in, and luckily, they did not notice him. Ray nods and tells him he will take over from here. Yoji can safely leave. Ray hangs up and begins to think. The request was already taken over by his own guild, so the presence of others is strange. He opens the system interface. He decides not to show his real face to these people, so he chooses to create an illusory mask to hide his identity. The system immediately begins processing the request. It tells him that to create such a mask, he needs material. Ray remembers the soul fragment he received from Tsukino-san. It is the fragment of a rank D swordsman. The system informs him that using this material will give only a 0.23% chance of automatically creating the item. He pauses for a moment. Instead of going with the automatic method, he considers doing it manually. The system warns him that success cannot be predicted. If the manual creation fails, it could lead to physical pain or even mental strain. Still, Ray thinks carefully. He knows the risk but also sees the value in what he is about to do. He moves forward with the decision to create the item. Ray accepts the challenge, and the system immediately responds that he will now enter a special space known as the Soul's Forge. In this place, Ray must harmonize his own soul with the item he wants to create. The system reminds him that the chance of success depends entirely on how well he performs this task. Soon, he is transported into the strange space of the forge. Many glowing figures float in the air around him, each one shifting and changing shape. The system informs him that because the base success rate is below 1%, the difficulty of this challenge will be very high. He has only 1 minute to complete it. Ray focuses his mind and begins moving the figures quickly, placing them in the correct order. His hands work fast, guided by instinct and memory. Every second feels heavy. Time ticks away, but he finishes the arrangement just in time, right before the final moment ends. The system notifies him that his soul is now in perfect harmony. The chance of success becomes 100%. With that, he returns to the material world. He regains his awareness, and above his open hand, a new mask floats gently. The system announces that this illusory mask was created through the Soulsmith subclass skill. He stores the mask safely in his inventory and makes up his mind. He says that this is the moment to stop the intruders. He steps out of the car and moves forward with determination. He reaches into his inventory, takes out the mask, and places it over his face. The moment it touches his skin, his appearance begins to change. He now looks like a completely different person. With his new identity, he walks confidently toward the tall and airy mansion that stands ahead, the one tied to the contract they recently received. Ray steps quietly into the mansion. The entire place is silent. There are no voices, no footsteps, and not even the sound of wind through the windows. He moves deeper inside and notices the remains of several burned bodies. Their armor still lies scattered across the floor, and the thick smell of smoke still lingers in the air. He heads toward the staircase and begins his descent. His thoughts tell him that someone is probably waiting for him below. Soon, his eyes catch something strange. Inside the wooden bookcases, there is a magical portal glowing faintly. It is a teleport gate that leads to another dimension. Ray approaches it and realizes that a hidden door has already been opened. Whoever came before him is clearly searching for something more secret, possibly a hidden test. He remembers that game trials are not all the same. They are divided into two main types: large-scale and small-scale. Large-scale tests usually involve entire nations and attract huge attention. Small-scale ones are more local, affecting just a city or a village. Most people believe these local tests are easier and do not offer big rewards. But Ray knows that not all small tests are simple. Some rare ones, called hidden tests, exist in remote areas. These are much harder than the usual small trials. They offer nothing similar to regular gameplay but reward players with rare items if completed. He walks down the long flight of stairs, knowing that only players with special information from the game can even find these kinds of trials. When he reaches the bottom, he spots several people dressed in robes standing together in silence. One of them removes his hood and steps forward. He asks Ray if he is the representative of the Gold Farm Guild. It seems they were waiting for him and knew he would come. Ray feels confused by the words he just heard. Something about the situation does not sit right with him. A thought crosses his mind, and he calmly asks which Gold Farm Guild the man is talking about. The man looks embarrassed, clearly realizing his mistake. It becomes obvious that he confused Ray with someone else, but he tries to brush it off, saying it is not important now. He smiles and adds that Ray seems strong enough to handle this hidden test anyway. Ray keeps a serious expression and apologizes, saying that he has no intention of taking part in a test meant for someone else. The man responds in a relaxed tone, saying there is no need to worry about that anymore. According to him, the test has already been completed. He pulls out a small box and shows it to Ray. A gentle smile appears on his face. He says that Ray came for this, didn't he? Ray narrows his eyes and quietly draws a weapon from his inventory, holding it behind his back just in case. His mind races with questions. If they have already completed the test, then what is really going on here? The man suddenly throws the box toward him. Ray catches it with ease, his eyes still fixed on the group. He doesn't lower his guard. The rob man explains that this is a gift, a token of appreciation. But he wants something in return. He makes a simple request. He wants Ray to prevent others from taking the same small-scale test. It doesn't matter how. Any way is fine. Since Ray is experienced, he should know how to block others. A dark realization begins to form in Ray's mind. He starts to understand the real reason behind this. These people are not normal players. Their goal is not competition, it is sabotage. He closes his eyes and calmly speaks the truth. These are members of the Dark Guild, and their plan is clear to him now. They want to repeat what happened in Argentina. They want to destroy the test from the shadows. Ray recalls the recent events that shook the world. Around 2 weeks ago, the city of Mendoza in Argentina was completely destroyed. The reason was simple: no one could pass the trial connected to that city. But the strange part is not just the failure. A week before the destruction, someone had already started short-selling the stocks of companies located in Mendoza. It was like they knew exactly what would happen, as if the fall of the city was planned in advance. Ray smiles, not out of joy but because the pattern is too clear. He remembers hearing that a dark guild was behind what happened. After playing their game in Argentina, it now seems like their focus has shifted to Japan. The man in robes watches Ray with a sly expression. He hints that Ray can keep imagining all sorts of stories about their reasons, but what really matters now is his decision. Does he accept the offer or not? The moment feels tense, but Ray remains calm. He says that no matter how good the offer may seem, he refuses to become a part of their plan. If a city must fall, then it is better to do it on his own terms rather than be a tool for others. The man's smile fades a little. He says it is unfortunate, then politely asks for the box to be returned. But then, he adds something else. Ray must also pay a small price for holding that box, even if only for a short time. Ray raises an eyebrow and asks him what's the price. The man finishes his sentence without hesitation. The price is not money, it is his life. The man in the robe reaches into his inventory and pulls out a syringe filled with a strange glowing liquid. He says, after this, Ray is left with only two paths. He must either cooperate without resistance or prepare to die. Ray does not hesitate. He brings his sword out from behind his back. His grip tightens, and he stands ready for battle. He asks if they truly believe they can defeat him that easily. The man doesn't back away. Instead, his eyes begin to glow with a strange light. He calmly explains that under normal circumstances, their group would never be able to stand against someone like Ray. But something has changed. Their group has already cleared the hidden test. That alone gave them a new kind of power. He raises the syringe and plunges it into his own throat. A surge of unnatural energy courses through him. His expression twists into something inhuman. One by one, the others follow him. They each inject themselves in the same way. Their bodies tremble as the strange substance spreads through their veins. The man grins and declares that the power they now carry is beyond the reach of normal players. Skills, tactics, or even strength no longer matter. They now possess the strength of the Dark Guild, something that follows its own rules and answers no one. The group drops their syringes to the floor almost at the same time. Their bodies begin to shake, and loud screams fill the space. A dark aura surrounds them as the drugs to take effect. The main man's face twists and changes, showing signs of something unnatural. He lifts his head and begins to laugh, clearly enjoying the power he now feels. Ray, however, stays calm, observing their condition. He wonders if what they used is some kind of enhancer. It seems to boost physical power, but their bodies look the same on the outside. They haven't moved much either, which feels odd. Ray then glances at the box still in his hands, and a thought crosses his mind, and everything starts to make sense. He decides it is better to play along with them for now. Suddenly, the main guy reaches into his pocket and presses something. It's a hidden trigger. The moment he does, the box in the hands of Ray explodes violently. Laughter echoes through the space. The main guy mocks the situation, proud of his trick. He believes Ray fell for a simple distraction. According to him, players have become too confident because of the game's rules. They think they cannot be harmed, but in truth, they are still foolish and far too trusting. He says they no longer need someone weak like Ray. He steps forward, expecting to see the result of the blast. But his expression changes when he notices something odd. Only the box is at the center of the explosion. There is no trace of a body. He looks around, confused, and cannot understand what just happened. Suddenly, chaos breaks out behind the main man. His own allies, who were standing just moments ago, are struck from behind before they can react. Confusion spreads among them. The leader quickly spins around and shoots flames from his palm, shouting in anger. His attack hits his own people, and they scream in pain, unable to understand why he would harm them. He does not stop explaining. His eyes burn with rage, and he continues pouring out fire, determined to destroy whoever is behind all this. His plan was falling apart, and he wants to crush the one responsible. But then something unexpected happens. Ray appears in front of him and then fades away right in front of him, disappearing like mist. The man stands frozen, unsure if he's seeing things. Before he can gather his thoughts, the cold edge of a sword touches the side of his head. His body freezes. Ray stands right behind him, calm and unshaken. Without giving him a chance to react, Ray activates his ability. Glowing chains, born from his soul-capturing skill, wrap around the man's body and lift him off the ground. He trembles and stares at Ray, unable to believe that this is really happening. The explosion should have ended it. Yet, Ray stands strong, not a scratch on him. Ray glances back with a slight smile. He picks up the same box that caused the explosion and explains, in a steady voice, that he never believed it was given out of kindness. From the beginning, the plan was obvious. That box was something they would never let go so easily. The leader, still bound by the chains, asks why Ray even touched it if he knew. Ray simply smiles and says that people like him always underestimate players at his level. For someone like him, a small explosion like that is nothing more than a breeze brushing across his face. Ray calmly pulls out his phone and dials Rumi. He mentions that he will take the money from the man's wallet to cover the cost of his torn clothes. Hearing this, the man begins to panic. He worries that Ray might be calling the police. Ray assures him that this is not about that. His call is about something far more serious. On the other end of the line, Rumi picks up and asks if he has already completed his task. Ray tells her to focus on Japan, where stock buying seems much more active now. He suspects that the Dark Guild might be repeating what they did to Argentina. If that is true, then they're using the same strategy to destabilize the country's economy. Ray believes they must act now. Rumi listens carefully. She agrees to follow through and trusts his judgment. She assures him that she will act as he says. The guy smiles awkwardly and calls Ray a true hero of justice. Ray tilts his head slightly and smirks. He finds the comment amusing. He wonders aloud what kind of justice the man thinks he is talking about. Ray says to the guy that the Dark Guild is short-selling like crazy, which means those stocks are cheap right now, right? Then, if he buys them all up and conquers the trial, he'll make a huge profit. The man's smile fades. He looks uneasy and argues, asking if Ray is really going to fight against the Dark Guild. Ray smiles again. He says that if there is enough money involved, he would gladly go to war against them. On the other hand, working with them could be an option. The man lets out a loud, uneasy laugh. He raises his voice and says that no one in their right mind would ever join hands with a group like that. Ray keeps the phone near his ear, holding it loosely over his shoulder. His eyes focus on the box as he opens it and looks through its contents. He speaks to Rumi again, asking if she is ready to begin what he calls re-education. Rumi understands what he means and asks if he refers to the method that does healing or restoration. Everything, she says, is already in place, but no tests have been carried out yet. No one knows if the process will work, or if it is even human. Ray gives a sly smile. He tells her that he will soon bring her the perfect test subjects, and she should prepare the system for what comes next. Suddenly, a message appears on the system screen. It shows that because of the evolution box, the soul fragment of a magician ranked F has transformed into a soul fragment of rank E. Time passes, and later, Ray is standing in front of the Museum of Modern Art. His phone is pressed to his ear again. He asks if this location is really the target of the Dark Guild. Rumi is in a different room. She is standing inside a space where her guild members are gathered. Some of them are confronting and intimidating captured members of the Dark Guild. She confirms the information. The man and his team have admitted to everything. The only uncertainty left is the number of enemies that might be hiding nearby. She mentions that maybe Ray should not have gone there alone. Ray steps forward and walks into the museum without hesitation. He says that this part is his job, and she should focus on watching the movement of stocks online. Somewhere on the internet, a post appeared from a user who goes by the name Takehiza. His username included the word justice. He wrote that he is searching for a team to help protect the city. There will be no reward for this mission. Still, he hoped brave people will gather soon, right there at the Museum of Modern Art. Now, Takehiza is standing in front of a large group of people. He announces that the moment for those taking the museum test has arrived. Anyone interested in participating should step forward now. He presents himself as someone dedicated to protecting humanity. Ray is standing among the people. He observes the gathering and quietly notes the surprising number of participants. A small smile forms on his face as he estimates that over 100 individuals have shown up. Takehiza looks around and speaks with emotion. He tries to express the deep admiration and pride he feels for everyone who came today. The sight of so many people, united for the purpose of defending their city, fills him with gratitude. Ray scans the crowd, his thoughts filled with disbelief. He finds it strange that so many would willingly take part in such a test, especially with no reward promised. At the same time, he senses danger. A spy could easily blend into this crowd without being noticed. To uncover any hidden threats, Ray focuses energy into one of his eyes. He begins thinking about whether it would be smart to find the spy before everyone enters the building. Takehiza signals the start of the test. He reminds the crowd that they are not alone. If any strong enemies appear, they should not hesitate to call for help. Workers from the association are ready to assist. Ray lets out a quiet laugh. He notices that no plan or strategy has been shared. Everything seems disorganized. Still, he sees this lack of structure as an advantage. He enjoys the freedom it brings. He walks through the museum entrance, already forming an idea about who the spy might be. He thinks about the best way to handle the situation. He smirks because he has found out the reality. He says that out of 107 participants present here, 1006 are spies from the Dark Guild, and he himself is the only one who does not belong to them. Takehiza raises his arm and points toward the entrance of the test area. His voice carries a warning, telling everyone to be careful. All of them now find themselves inside a large hall. The space is filled with expensive-looking paintings and sculptures displayed in neat arrangements. Ray glances around with a calm smile. The hall feels grand and luxurious, almost like an art museum. His eyes soon fall on a few individuals nearby who are holding spray cans. They shake the cans quickly and aim in his direction. The gas they release ignites the moment it touches the air. Flames flash across space, but they cause no harm to Ray. He remains untouched. He jumps high into the air and easily dodges them. He then draws his sword from his inventory and gazes at these foolish attackers. Without wasting a moment, he dashes toward them at great speed. Each move he makes is fast and clean. In a matter of seconds, they fall, defeated by his quick and precise strikes. Ray smiles again. His thoughts are sharp. These people rush into battle without thinking. They didn't even stop to consider whether their opponent was stronger than them. To him, they are like obedient animals, charging forward without question or fear. Takisa rushes into the hall next. He seems surprised at the scene before him. He calls out, clearly shocked by what he sees. Ray, still calm, explains that they attacked him first. He only responded to stop the danger. Takisa runs in too. He pretends to be concerned and speaks with urgency. Then, without warning, he lunges forward and tries to stab Ray, but Ray reacts with complete calm. Two of his fingers grip the blade and stop it instantly. Takisa strains with all his might, trying to pull the knife back. But no matter how hard he pulls, the weapon does not move. Confusion and disbelief spread across his face. He cannot understand how Ray is able to hold him off so effortlessly. Ray then breaks the knife with only 2 fingers. The broken metal drops to the floor. He explains that this knife is not even a proper game item. It holds no power in this world. It cannot harm any player. With a steady voice, Ray tells them to stop this act. He already knows the truth. All of them are working together, and their connection to the Dark Guild is no longer a secret. Takisa narrows his eyes and lets out a sly smile. Now that Ray knows the truth, he says, things have become even simpler. Around them, a few players stand up in confusion and ask what kind of Dark Guild this really is. They thought the test had come from an environmental group. Takisa nods with a grin. He confirms that the Environmental Protection Group is, in fact, a direct business partner of the Dark Guild. He then tries to lighten the mood. He suggests they could all just talk through things peacefully. He claims their goal isn't to kill Ray. What matters more is protecting this location. Becoming enemies would be a waste, and he assumes Ray can understand that. He says that if Ray agrees to cooperate, he will arrange for a payment, a daily allowance of 100,000 yen. The surrounding players react with disappointment and suspicion. Their eyes narrow and some speak up. They ask why Ray would get 100,000 when they were promised only 30,000 yen. The amount feels unfair to them. The Dark Guild, they explain, offered each of them just 30,000 for their help. Ray watches the group and remains calm. His thoughts drift for a moment. He remembers how he might have fallen for such tricks in the past. Those days feel distant now. With a small smile, he suddenly moves his hand at lightning speed. The air shifts and he casually says that this is where he draws the line. Takisa stretches his neck and reacts with mock disappointment. He pretends to feel sorry and then suddenly turns serious. His expression tightens, and energy begins to radiate from his body. Bright light glows around him. He drops to one knee and turns to the crowd. He addresses them with passion, calling them his dear friends. He says he has a limited time offer, one that cannot be ignored. Right now, he tells them anyone who manages to kill Ray will receive a reward of 100,000 yen. He raises his arm and points directly at Ray. The crowd begins to shift. All of them rush at Ray at once. They grab anything they can find, metal rods, pieces of broken wood, even decorations from the hall, and charge forward with full force. Ray stays still for a moment, then begins to move. His body glides through the chaos with sharp, fast motions. A small smile remains on his face. He runs smoothly through the crowd, barely stopping, knocking people aside with powerful strikes from his open palms. One by one, they fall unconscious. He comes to a halt and shifts his gaze to Takisa, who is charging toward him now with loud shouts. He boasts of his strength, reminding everyone that he once led the judo club. Ray does not wait. He jumps into the air, and in a single movement, he drives his knee forward with crushing force, striking Takisa square in the face. Before Takisa can fall, Ray flips over him with perfect control. He activates his soul-binding skill mid-air, and the next moment, glowing magical chains wrap tightly around Takisa, locking him in place. Ray lands behind him, calm and focused, and finishes it with a palm strike to the neck. Takisa collapses to the floor, unconscious. Ray brushes the dust off his hands and looks around. His voice is calm as he wonders if this is really the best they could do. In a corner of the hall, 2 frightened players sit against the wall. Their faces show fear, and they raise their hands, begging for mercy. They say they surrender and don't want to be harmed. Ray watches them closely. He senses that they probably don't know about the Dark Guild. They seem like they could be easily used. He tells them he will spare them, if they agree to cooperate. He then takes out his phone and makes a call. On the other side, it is Rumi, and Ray tells her that he has some exciting news. He explains that they are about to gain 100 new guild members. Rumi reacts with surprise. She wonders if all of them will need to go through the re-education course. Her concern grows as she thinks about how difficult the training can be. She fears that only a few will be able to endure it. Ray quickly reassures her. He explains that these newcomers are not like that. They are different from others. The training won't be for them. But there is one person, the head of the Association for the Defense of Humanity, who definitely needs to go through that process. Just then, a sword flies through the air at incredible speed. It is surrounded by heavy, dark energy that radiates danger. The sword slams into the ground near Ray with explosive force. The impact creates a shockwave that throws the unconscious bodies nearby across the room. Ray moves in time, dodging the attack. His body remains steady as he lifts his eyes to find the source. On the balcony above, a figure is standing calmly. Ray stares with a serious expression. The man smiles slightly, and Ray says to him that he finally made an appearance. The masked man asks how long Ray had known about him. Ray smiles back and tells him that from the very beginning, he had noticed him. He remembers that moment before the test even started. Among the sea of weak players, one person stood out clearly. No matter how hard that person tried to hide his presence, his power could not be disguised. Compared to everyone else, their aura felt completely different. Everyone else had faded into the background. The masked man draws two glowing swords formed entirely from his energy. He seems impressed but not surprised that Ray figured him out so quickly. Without waiting, he launches himself through the air at extreme speed. He blurs as he closes the distance fast, aiming both swords at Ray with deadly force. Ray reacts without fear. He lifts his dagger and meets the strike head-on. The clash sends sparks flying, and in the next instant, they begin exchanging rapid blows. Each attack is met with a precise counter. Their weapons strike again and again, the rhythm of battle growing faster with every move. Neither of them gains an edge. A bright burst of dark energy suddenly flashes from the masked man. It fills the space with a thick wave of power, forcing them both to leap back and put distance between each other. He sprints forward again with high speed, still amazed that Ray can parry every strike using only a dagger. He comments that Ray is far stronger now than he ever was during the game. Ray answers by charging forward without hesitation. His body moves like lightning. With one sharp slash of his dagger, he slices the mask cleanly in half. The broken mask drops to the floor, revealing the face underneath. Ray takes a fighting stance again, and it seems he recognizes the man. This is someone he used to know. Before the disaster, they had spent time together in the game. Ray takes the man's name. He is Yudo. The name catches the other man off guard. He is really surprised. Yo tightens his grip. His sword glows again as he powers it up. He says he is glad to see Ray but also carries regret. Their reunion, after all this time, had to happen under such terrible conditions. He takes his stance. He seems serious and focused. With full resolve, he declares that this fight must end, and for that he has to kill Ray. And that was it from today's video. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's goal is 1,500 likes. Comment next part down below to see what happens next. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.